It is a brand new year, and it is a brand new podcast. All three of us here are what we got out of it. And we wish you well, especially as the world is on fire around us. I don't think it's a secret that we're in SoCal. But yet, it is a new year. We choose well. And what better way to start the new year than dwelling on the past and looking at disappointments because the future is unwritten and uncertain. So today, we do our personal top 10s of 2024. Now, this is the way this is going to go is each of us is going to start with our honorable mentions. So we each get our turn. Nick's going to do his first, and then we'll see from there who goes next. But he's going to do all his honorable mentions. And once we're all done with those, we're going to get into our top 10s where we each name our 10th, our 9th, our 8th, and so forth. If there's overlap, we're gonna probably jump in and all that.
Yep.
I just want everyone to know, like everyone knows my feelings for top 10. So here I'm gonna say these are definitive and can never be argued with again. What we do here will be set in stone.
True.
And here are our personal top 10s. If they do not make it in here, that is probably for a myriad of reasons. Probably one of them being we didn't even get to it that year. We'll probably get to it at some point in the future. Or, we don't have much to say on it. It wasn't cup of tea. Or 3, it was fucking dog shit and don't talk to me about it.
Could be. Could be.
Could be.
All right.
So, without further ado, Nick, would you like to start us off with your honorable mentions of 2024? The things that did not make it on the list.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the most solid 11 in which there's a lot I appreciate, but it's not enough to and it wasn't as much of an impact for me compared to other things that happened this year. But it is the game. It's like one of the only games I played this year that were like a solo devs passion project experience, like Axiom Verge style and
okay.
Sin Sleeper. It's called The Citadel, and The Citadel is this Doom-like game. And I gave it an honorable mention because one, the fact that this all runs on Unity engine is insane because
pretty cool.
It is I'm trying to think because visually what it is pretty much taking from sort of you guys know 2000s anime gore, but It's taking specifically the more extreme side of it. So it's all hyper gore and then slightly sexualized themes. But what you end up getting through that is this really tight gameplay. The gameplay itself is really good to play. You have straight up jam mechanics, like a gun can jam, and then you have to cock and reload.
Okay.
Your bullets in your depending on the type of weapons and everything. It's all really thought out, and the levels there are really cool. The whole idea of instead of just a straight line like Doom, or a field, you get straight up fortress style tight Wolfenstein or Wolfenstein 3D where it's just room hallway to hallway, and there's great sort of I wouldn't say boss fights, but there are great sort of in story moments they utilized a lot. It's called The Citadel. It didn't make the top 10 because my biggest problem with it is kind of what Chris talked about with Scott Pilgrim. I feel like the levels kept dragging on at some point.
Okay.
I do feel like there were some levels that were too long. And it's tough because
go ahead. No, finish.
No, I'm saying it's tough because it's such a singular thing, but it really does make or break an immersion of gameplay sometimes.
Yeah, especially for a Doom clone and a Wolfenstein clone. Long levels can be pretty detrimental, to the overall design. Tighter, at least when I think of Doom, right? Doom and Wolfenstein, tight, fast levels are always kind of what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And the really long ones are those will drag. You like little breaks. It's more, you want more of an old school arcade feel, or at least I do.
Yeah.
It looks cool. I'm looking at the Steam page for this. I can't believe I hadn't heard of it.
I would absolutely recommend it. Just checking it out. It's a lot of fun. It's
Looks cool.
yeah, and I will say like right now I'm playing through the sequel that came out literally the first week of 2025, Beyond Citadel.
Okay.
It is, and already like I feel a huge difference in improvement. Like it literally just is, just building on itself.
Yeah.
And I think story wise, I think you guys would dig it because it is like harkening back to early Doom, like early Doom, but it's also like a twist of like Eldritch horror because like it's literally all the bosses are like angels that fell from heaven and essentially like protected humanity during like the end of Earth's like destruction, and then they built a citadel in the wastelands
That's
to
cool.
protect humans. And yeah, no, it's cool. Like it has cool lore, and even on even on like their online website, like they have the whole lore thing. But for what it is, for what it is, I really dig it. It's just worth an honorable mention. But
yeah. All right. Well, Nick, you want to keep going, or should we do round robin for honorable mentions, or we do all of ours in one go?
How many more honorable mentions have we got in the chamber?
I've got a
like
lot.
2.
I have 3.
Oh, you have 3? Ian, how many do you have?
2.
You have 2?
Yes.
All right, we'll save mine for last. That way I can gauge time and know which ones, if I gotta cut it.
Okay. All right.
I can finish off mine and then.
Yeah. Go, keep going, Nick. Keep going.
Keep going.
So the second game I do want to put an honorable mention because it is also, unfortunately, this is a number 12 for me. Is the Fate Stay Night remake, specifically the U.S. release of 2024, because the fact that it came out, like this is one of the games.
I remember
over
telling me about this.
Yeah, it's just one of those games over the decades everyone wanted a remake for.
Yeah,
like they just want a U.S. release for, and it was a case of like, if the animes did well, they may consider.
Right.
So it went through like literally a prequel series, Fate Zero. It went through like it literally skipped over and did the sequel series of Unlimited Blade Works, then Heaven's Fields, all great in their own merit. But we never really had like original remake of just the game itself. And this is one of the games in history. Like this is, if you're not in visual novels, like this is like.
No, you're 100% right.
Yeah, this is one of the games ever. This is one of the games ever to on a screen. No,
even if you're not interested in Fate Stay Night like me, no matter what Nick tries to do, you cannot, like, you should know about it, right? Like, because of how impactful it is, how important it is to the industry. Like, not just video games too. I mean, like, it would lead to the whole gotcha thing.
As a cultural relic,
as a cultural relic. Well, I would argue that's an overall bad thing. I mean,
like
you
Evangelion,
can't deny
right?
that it exists and it's here. You know, and it starts off with this visual novel with character. Like, it's super important. It's crazy important. Like, it's only. It says the original came out in 2012, right? God, it's so young. It's 10 years. It feels I expected like the 90s or something.
Yeah, you feel because like before this, like Chris said, like this was literally the one that cemented not only the subgenre but the sort of direction, like being consumed, like sort of like other parts of the world see Japanese narratives and like see like something in this structure like blow up. So this remake does a really cool thing where they kind of do a compromise in terms of bringing back the original story while introducing like a twist to it, like a new remake twist. So the biggest negative in the room, no sex scenes. I'm sorry, Chris.
They're
all gone.
Doing?
Why play?
What are we doing? You want the
biggest
truth
negative...
of what it is? Like, come on.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Was like, you know what's crazy? Like, there's only one sex scene I would argue is actually really important because it actually like
they're all important.
has like a plot. They're all important to me and my draws. Like, no, it's kind of crazy. So like, what they do is like, then there's also like a lot of quality life stuff they added because prior to that they had the prequel series remaster Tsukihime, and then they especially brought back a lot of the quality of life features. And it runs great. The only reason it's 12 is literally the same reason at Citadel. There was just stuff I personally felt stronger feelings for because I always liked the prequel Tsukihime a lot more than Fate Stay Night. But it's just worth mentioning the fact that it even got released. So that's why it's honorable mention.
Nice. Right on, man. All right. And then what's your? I guess if you're doing by numbers, right? So this is your 13.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
My 13 is gonna be one of the albums of this year I listened to because holy shit, 2024 had so many fucking great albums. Like it was just consistent.
And I had to make some really rough cuts in the 20.
Same.
I had a lot more than I remembered. So
yeah. So one honorable mention, every fiber of my being, dude, like tried to put in 10, but I think like you said, like there was just some I had to cut.
Yeah.
And one of them unfortunately was Prophecy by Gost. Despite how much I loved it.
Hey man. Hey, guess what was my cut for Prophecy by Gost? I felt so bad. I felt so bad. I think this is his best album since oh my god, the White Album. Yeah, what's
Possessor.
100%. It's his best album since Possessor.
This is, and it's also like it is the most chaotic. Like this is the most like
yeah, it is. It's there's parts of it that fly off. I'm gonna talk about it too with you. If there's parts of this album that seemingly can fly away like at any given moment, but they don't, and it's all this like chaos that and it's like he's putting it together, and then you get a sick dance beat. And then it flies away into chaos again. It's great, dude. Oh my god, this album's fantastic.
Yeah, my favorite description, I can't find the comment, but my favorite comment I ever saw for this album was if Possessor is hell on earth, then Prophecy is hell shoved down your throat.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
Because
go ahead.
I was saying because Prophecy does seem like the most. This is like you said, it's crazy. The cuts are insane. Like it's just chaotic. It's just chaos incarnate. I don't know how to describe it. Like it is.
It's super good.
Yeah, and yeah, I felt bad. I felt bad for Beyond Mentions, but there was just one this year I had to put on top 10.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
This was
really
so
good.
Close. This was so close.
There's a lot of really good ones. I think Prophecy, which got a music video, is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Maybe Obituary and Temple of Tears. Temple of Tears is really good.
Yeah, the hook is too good.
Been a big Gost fan for years. Been like, it's so weird, dude. I talked about, I think on one of the old podcasts when I saw him live again, and or wearing the mask, the Ball Bearers mask again.
Yeah.
For the first time in like years. And just being like, wow, I've been watching Gost live for 10 years now.
Yeah,
he's
man.
So he's up there for like, I always do this because as a kid I was super into thrash metal, or like super into thrash metal. I still am, and there was the whole thing with the big four, which is always considered. And granted, I acknowledge that was like mainly a marketing tactic, but I mean it worked, and I do agree that you can't ignore that they're the biggest. They might not be the best, but it would be like Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, and Anthrax. If I had to do one for synthwave, it was always like Perturbator, and this is my own personal. I know people are gonna be like, "What about Kavinsky?" And I'm like, they're cool, but and they have that sound. I just find them boring at bits, like, or I feel very samey about a lot of their songs. I feel like they run together a lot. It would be like Perturbator, Gost, Carpenter Brut, and Dan Terminus would be like my top four. Yeah, for like synthwave. Gost is fucking rad. If you're into metal and you've thought about like checking out electronic, like these are good shit.
Yeah, and on that same vein, like 10 years, and for me it was like 12 because like I remember listening to his stuff sort of in that same like rabbit hole when Hotline Miami came out of music.
Same.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy where it's like you just hear not only an evolution, but like not only him as an artist, but just like the cultural the culture changed in regards to electronic music
Yeah.
subgenres becoming like more mainstream, where like the nostalgic sound is like becoming more and more in the front for
Yeah, and it is that. You're right, like the nostalgic tone is in there, but it's so new, like the way he does everything.
yeah, no,
And I would
definitely.
still argue, like, even though I like Carpenter Pertwee and Dan Terminus a lot, I think he's the most different, like, out of all of them.
I'd agree. I think because like he's taking more specific, like he's taking a very strict like thing of like, well, he started with slasher wave, so
Yeah.
taking like that specific type, and then later on his own thing, and then it just evolved into like right when Non Paradisi came out
Oh, God.
is when I felt like
Yeah, dude, that album.
he's doing something special in
Non
regards to
Paradisi is a very special album. I think that's like
absolutely
everyone's got to check that out.
at least once if you're like
Yeah.
semi interested, like
Yeah.
That, like, I mean, all his stuff shows how good he's a musician, but I think that also shows his range, like how he
Yeah.
can do it, and you can also see like these sparks that would turn into the different experimentation he would do later.
Mhm.
Which, if you're not that into, like, some of the last two albums, if you're not that into, I mean, they're still well made, but they are different, and you can kind of see that or even as far back as like Not Very Easy.
yeah.
Right.
Cool.
So yeah,
Yeah, that was a
definitely,
tough cut for
honorable
me
mention.
too, man.
All right, I got one more,
Yeah.
and it is also an album.
Okay.
And it was also one I tried my hardest to put in 10
Okay.
or anywhere in, but
Yeah.
it is worth mentioning at the very least because of its size and the sheer achievement of what it's pursuing.
Okay.
So this is the Arrange album for the game Zero Ranger, Green Arrange, Green Arrangement,
Wow.
all 5.
I know you were looking
Oh.
forward to that. I haven't listened to it yet, but
So we shared. I know I shared over the years like my feelings of the game itself, Zero
Yeah.
Ranger.
Mhm.
I would say this is not only of Zero Ranger an arrangement album that I really enjoy. I think it's also like sort of this weird payoff for myself in regards to like I feel like I benefited the most when I just like kind of, well, I mean like benefit like you enjoy like you enjoy the album a lot if you are really into shmups and you're really into
Yeah.
like this specific type of music, because it is a little bit of everything.
Mhm.
Of it's artists from history like Watanabe Yutahisa.
Mhm.
He is like an absolute legend of a composer and sound designer in regards to like the history of the arcades for shmups.
Mhm.
He's in here. Just so many artists, like so much I enjoyed from it. Hearing all these different versions, like it actually brought me back to like OC remix days of like those game albums,
Oh, that's cool.
tribute albums. Because it is a lot of them are like originally from that scene, and it's just because the sheer quantity of it's insane. Like it's literally 50 tracks. Because and you get a little bit of everything like in regards to a genre. I think like it's an honorable mention because I think 50 tracks at some point, like it's at some point like some are you feel stronger for than the others. I think also like yeah, I think it's just like maybe I'm so like cemented in the original sound that hearing different ones I don't feel as strong with most tracks.
Yeah.
I think it's honorable mention for me because like there were just some I think as an overall experience I liked. I guess like the songs I liked were less than the songs I disliked, like
Okay.
or I didn't feel strongly for.
Okay. I think I know what you're saying. Yeah.
But I do want to at least bring it up because like even though most of the songs aren't my style or things I enjoy, it is worth bringing up because it is like one of my favorite games of all time, and it has some of my favorite musicians of all time on this album. And for what they were going for, they totally achieved it. So definitely worth a mention.
Cool.
Nice.
All right, and this is number 15 or 14.
Yeah.
15?
That is 14. Oh no, 14.
No, sorry, I mean this next one.
Oh no, that's it.
That's it.
Oh, that's it. All right.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Okay.
Those must have been tough cuts. They sounded really tough.
Mm-hmm.
I had like 30.
Dude, oh yeah. Yeah, even I'm gonna have a lot of honorable mentions. A lot of them I'm just gonna run through my name. Just to say, yeah, that I did like this a lot, but didn't make it. Ian, you said you had 2 honorable mentions.
It's bumped up to the full 13, but I can keep it nice and lean here. Just because my 13 and my 12 are basically the same notes I have about them. So my 13 is Dune 2.
Oh wow, okay. All right.
And my
I forgot that came out this year.
Yeah, it came out this January.
Hey, I'll say this, would not have made my list. I'll just put it at that too.
And my 12 is Furiosa, or a Mad Max story.
Okay.
Saga.
Okay.
I've ostensibly put them in a similar place because my takeaway from them was about this. I looking a year back, about the same, in that they're both beautiful movies. Yes. They've both got amazing, sound and thought put into them. They're really wonderfully connected, and they're both sci-fi films that, truthfully, I was surprised at how successful both of them felt. Like, they, I think, really landed and for Furiosa, it was more so, I was surprised that after all the to get it to happen, it happened.
It was a long. I mean, we talked about it when we talked about it.
Yeah,
but it's and I kind of went over a little bit of the history, but it was a long process. It went through many iterations.
Yeah,
because George Miller really It's still crazy that they wouldn't give it to him after how successful Fury Road was.
I agree.
The anime.
Fucking insane. Why did they do that to that man? That man's a legend.
And I think that now that I haven't watched the series, but I know there's an HBO series right now that's Dune centered. The fact that we can enter into this media as a multimedia franchise and a general audience can key into, honestly, what I would say is kind of esoteric in some senses. It's influenced a lot of media.
It's the influence. Like if you oh my god, I hate that I'm gonna do this. It really is the Citizen Kane of sci-fi novels. Because it is. It people stole fucking everything from them. Specifically the early books, though. No one ever gets into the weird shit that would happen later, and that's where the real good stuff is. But also, and it's the comparisons are. It's weird because the ripoffs, or as I'm calling them now, as those things that were inspired by Dune, really don't take. A lot of them don't go for the jugular quite as Dune does, where it not only creates tropes, but it tells you what the problems of these tropes are. And tells you hey, why? Because the trope of white man saves all is not unique to sci-fi and comes from a lot of adventure novels and way early on storytelling. And it's already going for it. It's a deep analysis of how that's so fucked. As an idea. And where that would actually lead to, colonialism, imperial, that dude, the author is fearless. He went for it.
Yeah,
and I don't think anything, because he wrote 10 books. I don't think anything has quite matched that. People would say Star Wars. I don't think so. I think Star Wars is at a lot of times of what it would get so spineless.
I would say in fiction, the only thing, and I'll briefly just touch on that because it's a great point you made. When George Lucas ransacked this series for ideas,
sure fucking did. Yo, you can look that up, and that and Rashomon, and a bunch
he admits it. He's not.
And he to his credit, he was saying I was watching Japanese movies, and no one else was watching it.
Yeah,
he was right.
I will say that Dune's kind of one of the big ideas of it is the traditional hero doesn't exist in a real political system.
It can't.
And it can't. And even if you take for granted the idea that Paul Atreides is coming at things from a benevolent perspective, that's a conversation for later. But let's say that, like, even with the best of intentions, he becomes a dictator to achieve the ultimate goal. He strips humanity of all its independence. And
spoilers for what the third movie's going to be, by the way.
Well,
but
the third movie we're going
like
to get a big
years,
worm Chalamet. I can't wait.
Better, dude.
I can't wait.
Fucking better. That movie better be fucking weird. If that movie isn't weird, I'm going to throw away the whole franchise. Like, in movie wise for me.
It's tough to like convince people to commit to like 5 hours of film of build up story. Set up the story.
And I think that's like one of my biggest problems with the Dune movies. And probably why like those didn't even make it into my honorable mentions, because even if it's a really good film and I like that director, it is all build up, and there's not. It's like, yeah, man, that's 6 hours like of that, and you're not really rewarded except for like
the end, like the last
not that
minutes.
it owes you anything, but I mean, like, you're dedicating 6 hours. You want like something to happen, and there's cool scenes, but I don't think they're as cool as people think they like. If that makes sense.
The ideas are the coolest thing about those movies. The ideas are interesting. The idea of a psychic so strong that she has sent her future conscious into her pregnant mother's womb.
Baby.
So that she is born with the mind of like a 30-year-old woman. Is cool, but it's a wild thing to show in film, and it's very So I don't know. I mentioned it just because I do think that Denis Villeneuve is gonna give us kind of we're gonna get a payoff with the third one that he's contracted to do.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I trust him. I'm like, because I like his movies. Like,
I guess my one aside again to that other idea about kind of the commentary of Dune and what it does is like maybe Game of Thrones is kind of in that vein, but otherwise you're right. Most writers are going back to more of the myth archetype of we have real heroes, we have real villains, not humanity is innately flawed and can never really fix everything. So that's my 13, that's my 14.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, that's my 13, that's my 12. My 11 is acting class. I love that thing. I've been thinking about it since we read it. I loved it, guys. Really.
I'm so happy you at least mentioned it. Yeah.
I loved it.
Nick was like expecting not to be there
at all. Can I say where on my number it is?
We can hang on. Let me let's do a little foreshadowing here, just in case. I wanna double check my list.
Sure.
You said when the things mentioned, we have to say what number.
Oh, okay. So mine's in acting class is in my honorable mentions as well.
Okay.
Do you want to save it for a list? You can save it as a surprise if me and Ian have it on our honorable mentions.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, that was another one that would have been like up there in Book of the Year. It's probably Book of the Year for me. All things considered, granted, I haven't read everything that came out. Murakami came out with the book towards the end of the year at the 11th hour, so who knows? That could be great.
Jeff Vandermeer.
Yeah, I haven't read Jeff Vandermeer's book. I haven't checked out a bunch of things, but acting class is phenomenal. We talked about, again, we have a whole episode on that, so we don't have to go too much into detail. But Nick Dronzo, I always describe the work, especially like stuff like Beverly and oh my god, the one after Sabrina. As like horror in the mundane. Like just these incredibly, you can call it a thriller, I guess, but I feel like it goes so beyond that. Like he can find some real like just uncomfortable and dark and normalcy, but also there's beauty in that too. There's beauty in the people. It's so crazy. He has such a grasp on that. And he and it's so weird if you watch the documentaries on him because he seems like the most chill, down to earth guy. Like you wouldn't expect that behind everything, right? Like
it is fascinating to watch how he works. Not just one because he's a very rich writer. He's so there's so much material there that's really fertile. But like him talking about like going through public photos to get the look of just a random person. It's beautiful. It's an amazing process.
Yeah. And he's
makes, like, all the bust.
Oh, go ahead. Oh yeah, and he makes the bust of each. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it works, right? It must be working because all his characters feel so 3-dimensional and complete.
I agree.
In respective ways. Yeah. Okay, Ian, any more honorable mentions?
No, sir. Those are my honorables. What about you?
All right. I got a lot of them, so I feel really bad. But there's only a handful that I do want to talk about.
Okay.
So we'll start at the bottom here. I'm going to start with honorable mentions for YouTube. I broke them down into categories.
Okay.
Deadlock Sinks from Kingpin. Very entertaining if you love wrestling. I love the Deadlock podcast as well, but I feel like the Sinks when you're actually watching the wrestling is just it's top notch. You get to see the comedy come out in real life. It's perfect. It's go watch this. Finding the Lythero channel. Specifically his edits. So MVC3 edits were how I found out about him. He has Sonic series. He has stuff on Left 4 Dead. Shenanigans, which is what he calls going online on fighting games with friends, specifically like DBFZ, so Dragon Ball Fighters Z.
Yeah.
And then Lethal Company. Fucking hilarious. You need an hour of like and a half. He's got those streams condensed down to great jokes, animations that are amazing and only show up for like 10 seconds, done by animators from all over YouTube.
Wow.
And he's got a good it's the same magic for anyone who's watched like Video Games or Maximilian, where yeah man, that's a funny group of friends. And they're actually really fucking funny. So go check those out. The only one I really want to talk about is Marbula 1 2024 from Yell's Marble Runs. Yo, what do y'all know about marble racing?
Marble racing?
Marbles, the little yeah.
Well, I work with kids and they will watch it for hours. That's
okay. Do they watch Yell's marble racings?
They may. I don't know about the specific channel.
All right, yo, you got to get them on this stuff, dude. Marbula 1 is the yearly it's the Formula 1 of marble racing. There's heats, there's different tracks, they're all built, and it's not only at the end of the day you're watching marble racings, you're just watching marbles run down tracks and doing best times, right? Or like trying to beat each other. All throughout, and it's all in presentation. It's fucking bananas. You should just check this stuff out for how much work goes into everything to make it feel like, yeah, we're playing this straight. We're 100% in belief that these marbles racing is a full-fledged, beloved worldwide sport with commentary, audiences, drama. Athletes getting injured. And shenanigans are like not real. There's storylines, but it's all in just the marble racing. And if you're a math nerd, it's real sports stats. There's a whole community. It's something. It's something that me and a friend of mine, like I think I mentioned one point, hey, let's watch a marble racing because we always thought it was funny, and then we checked it out. We were like, oh my god, dude, this is a world. This is a world where it's super entertaining. Go check that out. I was so shocked how much I enjoyed that. For what there's so much cool fucking work going in. And like I always have a soft spot for little miniatures built in because that is one of those thankless mediums they can't really monetize or sell. But you do it because you love it. And well, I guess I say that, but he figured out a way to monetize it. All right, so honorable mentions for books. Acting class. I'm starting to worry about this Black Box of Doom, which we did a video on that barely didn't make it into my top 10. All I gotta say about we did the whole podcast about it. All else I gotta say is, yeah, Jason Parker remains the author I wish I wrote like, and probably what I'm trying to build towards eventually. He is a phenomenal writer. He is an entertaining writer. He is a hilarious writer with great insights into the current state of affairs. Because at any point you're running into the problem of like you're just waiting for the moment of, oh yeah, this old man doesn't understand the what's going on in the world with young people. It is not that. It is someone who actually is really trying, or like is giving full effort into understanding the world, how it is around him.
Yes,
on a human level, and it's this great level of empathy and figuring it out from lived experience and everything.
While you're mentioning that the Black Box of Doom, I think I'll just throw out, because that the just to yes and what you've said, I think like one thing that the book touches on is like the disaffected young men of America. Like that's a pretty depthful thing that we think about, and the book is so tender, I guess is maybe the word I want. Like it is going into this very hostile space with a lot of thoughtfulness. Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense if you kind of keep up with Jason Bargain. We've been all reading his stuff since like the golden era of crack, so high school and all that. Where he too was like, I was a very angry young man, and it took a lot to get out of that, and I need to, and it's a constant exploration. Like at the end of the day, I would argue like a lot of his stuff is a meditation, like anger, like and all that, where it comes from. But
and a great quote from him just recently. He was talking about John dies at the end, and this book is full of spiders. Which were published near each other, but written far from each other.
10 years apart. I think I know which video you're talking about.
Oh, okay, yeah. Wherein he says, it's for some people it's very hard to see, but for him especially, it is very obvious how different the voice of those two novels are.
No, it's the opposite.
It's the opposite.
People are quick to point out how different the voice is, but to him, he didn't see that because he grew as a person, and he just naturally changed slowly.
Yes, that's it. That's right. But it is fantastic to hear, because I think one of the great things about following a career is seeing an artist do that. In real time. It's amazing to see. So
absolutely, 100%. It's also inspirational for anyone who like makes art, like to see people change.
I think I was gonna say, like, at least for Black Box of Doom, like I think I'll definitely add to that of like sort of following an artist, I think, for so long, like even before you decide to be an artist. Before like and sort of like I think the golden age of cracked, looking back on it, same with David Wong's articles, like I didn't realize like how much that would kind of help in regards to like seeing that being an artist is something you can pursue, or something I can pursue.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think like I still think about his article of like how to start your new year, or like where he just changes the year count on it until
until he stops until he forgets, essentially.
So I think like going into Black Box of Doom, I will say it has like one of my favorite scenes I think I read in a book in regards to like you actually see the father's perspective. And him actually defending his son. And actually just try to talk, even if they both don't reach a conclusion they're both satisfied with.
which is very. I agree with you. It's one of the more powerful moments, and it comes out of left field. It's very more realistic. Like the conversation isn't over. It doesn't end in one attempt.
Moment.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. It's gonna be work.
Yes,
but it has to start. Like it has to start somewhere. And what better way to start than looking for clothes at a Buc-ee's? So
yeah.
Shout out to Killdozer.
Shout out Killdozer. All right. All right. The only other book honorable mention are the Vermes, the two Vermes books. Vermes 1, Lost Dungeons and Forbidden Woods, and Vermes 2, Mist and Mirrors by one of my favorite artists, Plastaboo.
Wow.
I found out about this book through the YouTuber Super Eye Patch Wolf, which blew my mind because I've been following this artist for a long time, and I didn't hear shit about this book. Maybe I just missed it. Just completely I bought it like that day. I bought both of them that day. They were like $20. What these books are, real quick, are games that never are manuals for games that never existed. A game that never existed called Vermes. And Vermes 2. And it's phenomenal art. It's very much like reminiscent of Dark Souls, but you're reading this manual for a game, and you're slowly uncovering what the overall story is. But it's all told through like game hints and just concept art and everything. It's phenomenal. If that sounds up your alley, go check it out, and go just check out Blastaboo, one of my favorite artists online.
Yeah.
Okay. Honorable mentions for video games: Metaphor ReFantazio. I started in 2024. I have not finished it. I'm enjoying it so far. That's pretty much all I gotta say.
Okay.
FF16 is an honorable mention. Didn't make it in top 10. I loved playing it, and I loved the boss fight, but as I'm kind of walking away more, I think, and I love a lot of the writing and the story.
Yeah.
I think they could have leaned harder and gone in certain directions, because they kind of drop things, especially when they're talking about there's a huge racism aspect of this game, and I feel like they could have really dug into that, but and they kind of do, but it's in text, you start worrying more about like the personal story. It's still great. And I like the lesson, or I like the takeaway at the end, which is why would you do all this? And it really is just so the future can have a shot. Inspiring in this time. The other game is FF7 Rebirth. It's definitely not in my top 10, but it is a phenomenal game. Like, as much as I've talked shit about it, I cannot deny that it's this like accomplishment in just video game making and like design and everything. I got a lot of problems. Like, I feel like I could write an entire essay with this about like what it does right, what it does wrong. It's very bloated. It's like, the way I think about it is maybe a cornucopia of great food, but you just never reach the end of that cornucopia. And yeah, the meals are great, man, but there's so much fucking food. I can't finish that. It's gonna take me 200 hours, and I can't fucking do that. I can't do that anymore. So I took a break. I didn't finish everything. I did the story. I did the only things I have left is like playing the game all the way in hard mode and doing the really fucked challenges.
Oh wow.
Again, I feel I'm not going to go too much, and I feel like I could do an entire episode or like write an essay on my thoughts and like how it reflects where I think AAA games are, or what they are in like society type thing. So I'm not going to do that here. But I didn't enjoy it enough to put it in the top 10. Armored Core 6 was my honorable mention of a video game that I'm sad to make it into top 10, because that's the one I played this year. My first Armored Core game. Nick was there to kind of guide me. It helps that I've played so many Souls games, because they very much took the stamina meter system and implicated with robots, so I was able to figure out a build just based on that real easily. I didn't think I struggled with it like as other people did. That game's great. It feels like a dream. I love the way it plays.
Oh god.
So much. My biggest complaint is that there isn't more. Like, it's very short.
Yeah.
But I kind of dig that. Like, I dig the level structure. It feels like just a fucking really solid PS2 game.
Okay.
I'll take Wasu.
Fucking dude, those boss fights are so goddamn good.
Hell yeah.
The Iguazu boss fights, phenomenal game. Okay, music, honorable mentions. We did Prophecy, Justice's latest album, Hyperdrama.
Yeah.
As much as I liked it, the things I would talk about are where I think it falls flat. And I gotta be real, I know I'm kind of like, according to public opinion or like other reviews, I'm on the opposite. I'm not that big into the Tame Impala songs that they got on here. I like them. I love the Justice original songs on here. I even like that Thundercat one a lot. I'm for Justice. It's hard. It's hard to beat Woman Worldwide Live. I think that's the best thing they've ever made, and it's not as good as that. But there's some really good music. There's really good music in here. Like it's still one of the best albums of the year.
Yeah, if they, I guess, in the long run, do the thing with Women Worldwide, so they have like a bunch of remixes and incorporate a lot of the live cuts into another album like Women Worldwide, I think it has potential to do something great.
Yeah,
for Hyperdrama, but as it is, I agree. I think there's some underwhelming.
And to one last comment on why I don't like the Tame Impala song so much. I think they're more Tame Impala songs featuring Justice than they are Justice songs featuring Tame Impala.
Oh wow!
And I like Justice a lot more.
Yeah,
I do like Yeah, I get that.
All right, that's all I'll say on that. This one was heartbreaking because I wanted it to be in my top 10, man. Wanted it to be in my top 10. The Return of Sewerslvt. The Rise of Cynthoni, as I titled it. Sewerslvt presents Cynthoni Part 1, Sewerslvt presents Cynthoni Part 2, and then Smoke It to the Butt, Cynthoni album right after. I've talked about it. Sewerslvt's last album, We Had Good Times, didn't we?
Yeah.
Is one of my favorite albums of all time now. Like, it is in my top 10. It's one of the most emotionally impactful albums I have personally listened to. When I heard Sewerslvt was coming back, she retired. And due to like really good reasons. She was burnt out, but it was also like there were stalker situations. There was awful things going on.
Yikes.
And we were like, yo, and I was like, yep, that feels right. Like, go out on the highest high, like, and take care of yourself. That's always first and foremost. I totally understand. It was heartbreaking, but I didn't think I would get another album. Cut to the announcement that Sewerslvt is back and is gonna release something.
Wow.
And oh my god, dude, it was the most excited I had been for an album in a long time. And they were coming back as Cynthoni. They said it was Sewerslvt inspired project, but it was gonna be different. And it is. It's different. It's not as wild or chaotic. It's more. There's a lot more danceable stuff.
Okay.
Not in a bad way. It's still very great. I don't like it as much as the Sewerslvt stuff, and that's heartbreaking, man. I wanted it to like it more. It's good. It really is. And she's still probably one of the best in the game for like breakbeats and like that genre of music. And breakcore. It's just not as I don't like it as much. And that sucks. That I wanted it to really dig it. It's still really good. It's worth checking out. I can't wait for new stuff. I want to see how she keeps exploring this new project. But it's hard to be. It's that thing where you have to follow up again what I consider one of my favorite albums of all time. One of the greatest pieces of music I've ever heard. And it didn't make it. So that was rough. Other album I want to point out is Radical Reptar from Groovy Kaiju. Friend of the show, so take this with a grain of salt. You know we're going to be biased, but I genuinely do think it's a good album. I really do. There's some great music on there, and it's also compiling a bunch of singles he released that kind of don't kind of had their own places, but now you can put them in a singular package.
Yeah.
Go check his stuff out. His music is fantastic, especially if you like future funk and you want something to dance to, you know? All right, last things. Movies and TV shows. The only two I wanted to mention, TV show that I watched in 2024. I think it ended in 2023, but
Okay.
it's a show called Kevin Can Fuck Himself,
Oh, yeah.
and I
haven't
can't
seen
believe
it,
I hadn't
yeah.
watched it sooner. Because it is a kind of show I would have loved to have been a part of, and like write and help make or make myself. I feel like the less you know about Kevin Can Fuck Himself, the better. But I will talk about like the premise because it's what I knew going in,
Yeah.
and that there's two styles to the show in each episode.
Mm-hmm.
There's one that's shot, written, and played out like a sitcom, down to how everyone acts, and the other half is like a drama focused on this woman, and she's the main character of both. Well, no, she's the main character in the drama, and the main character in the main character's sitcom is her just fucking awful husband, fucking piece of shit. That would be the star of 2000 sitcom a la King of Queens or Married with Children. And we've talked about that era of sitcoms where it's like, a lot of the joke was my fucking wife. Can you believe that? Like, type
Why
thing.
is she such a what a nag all the time?
Oh
right,
my god, you guys! I just want to hang out with the boys, and it's that character. But how would that work in real life? And the answer is not well. Fucking, it's a vortex of just awfulness to be around, and the way they play out the show is fantastic. I think there's a good progression there, and it's very funny all throughout, like even in the drama bits. It's all funny. Even the bits of the sitcom, I'm laughing. I'm like, yeah, that's a good, solid, like, it's really incredibly well done. It's a show that I can't believe got made. It was canceled halfway through its right before its second season, and they knew that season 2 is all we're gonna get, and you can feel that in season 2. That's like what I would consider its biggest flaw, because they wrap up things pretty quickly. In that second, and they're wrapped up well enough, but you feel that like, we want to get to the ending we had planned, and they do, and it's a really good ending. It's really hard to end shows, and I think they kind of nail it.
It's a beautiful show. I wouldn't mind talking about that on the show sometime. That might be a good episode idea.
Nick, you haven't watched it, right? So if you ever watch it, we can do it.
No, not yet. Yeah, I definitely gotta check it out.
Got it.
All right.
What's up?
I was just quickly gonna say that the star of Kevin Can Fuck Himself, Aaron Hayes, right?
Yeah.
The one thing that I knew about it, and I think that should maybe get some people excited. She played Kevin James' wife for 25 episodes of television on a show called Kevin Can Wait, and her removal from the show was like she wasn't called back, and essentially Kevin James wanted his old TV wife back.
Oh, so dude, okay, yeah, I know the story.
Okay, yeah.
No, keep going.
So Leah Remini, who was his wife in King of Queens, is written into the show. Aaron Hayes finds out she's not on anymore when she doesn't get called back, essentially, and her character Donna cheats on Kevin and just runs away with a note, leaving a note or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's worse than that. I think she like dies.
Oh, okay. They kill her.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
She is killed.
And it was straight up because Kevin James felt like the chemistry with Aaron Hayes was not as strong as he and Leah Remini. But I think that there's a reasonable degree to which Aaron Hayes had input on Kevin Can Fuck Himself and the writing and all that. So that's another interesting kind of thought to have when you go into the show. It's a great show. I agree.
Yeah. The only thing I've heard about that story too that I don't know if it's true or not, or like how much both fars, is that the audience had a lot to do with it.
Oh,
Like
they
they were
didn't.
like, yeah, there's no chemistry here. We hate, or no, we're used to the wife from
Leah
King of
and
Queens.
Kevin.
Yeah, Leia and
Yeah.
Kevin from King of Queens. We
Right.
even though it's a completely different show in a completely different universe,
Mm-hmm.
we just want them just want them together.
Yeah.
Which is fucked in its own right too. That people can't
Yeah.
just like do a new show. But whatever. Great show. Well, finished in 2024.
Yep.
Last honorable mention is, and this would be number 10 if it wasn't for the number 10 that's in here.
Mm.
It's the honorable number 11. I saw the TV Glow.
Oh yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
This will make more sense once we get into my list. I'll say it like this because we said a lot in that episode. It's the movie this year, besides maybe like Nosferatu now, but like I would enough time hasn't passed after Nosferatu than this one. I'm still thinking about I saw the TV Glow and like what I really got out of it, or what like it's really getting at.
Yeah.
And it kind of really sticks with, and it really stuck with me. I still think about it. I would actually argue it's probably the best movie of 2024 next to Furiosa and Nosferatu. But there's a movie that beats it for me, and I'll get into why in our top 10, which we can now start because my honorable mentions are done. So Nick,
All right.
anyone? We're moving on. We're getting to our top 10s.
Yeah.
Nick, would you like to start with your number 10 of 2024?
Number 10
Yeah.
is the first life event.
Oh.
I would put on the 10. And this is something that goes into what you put in your honorable mentions, but sort of my take on it.
Okay.
So it is Cynthoni's comeback. And for me, it's number 10 because of what Chris said in regards to this swan song of an album. And
it really is
how, and we had great times, haven't we?
Yeah.
Is not, I don't know. It's, and it's like with The Caretaker, where I feel like there's a point where you transcend what the expectations of a genre and the expectations of what people get out of art when you have something that the only way I can describe, and we had great times, is the feeling of listening to it. And I had this feeling listening to it where she really did nail the feeling of something good ending.
Wow.
When you realize something that was really good in your life and it was a great memory can't happen again. And I think going into Cynthoni, it was kind of this feeling of, I know a lot of people have words for it, but I think for me, I was just more relieved that someone out there can have such talents and can still choose and to put themselves out there to keep making art despite everything going on. And I think for me, that's the biggest thing with a live event. And just again, hanging out and checking out the live music releases brought me back to those years when Sewerslvt would release an album and do live streams of them. And I don't know, I just really enjoyed that. I think that's why it's my top 10 beyond everything. And that's like it's definitely a life event I really enjoy, but I think it's 10 because of the perspective of that,
Yeah, she came back in real full force. Like this was planned and everything. She had merch releases, which merch was very sparse for Sewerslvt because she really was doing it as she went. So stuff that you got, that's it. That's rare. Ain't gonna happen again. And coming back with the way she's approached social media releases and YouTube has been, I think, A+ for the music and everything. yeah, and I said my piece on why I didn't make the top 10. It just it was heartbreaking for me not to put it in there. It was like number 12 and like that whole thing, and it's just I don't like it as much, and that's that's fine. It's a different project, it's supposed to be that, but it is. I'm with you, Nick. It's a real cool accomplishment, I think, to come back like this with still
Absolutely.
really good
Yeah.
music and all that. Again,
No, totally.
I'm excited for anything she makes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Ian, would you like to do your number 10 of 2024?
Surely, sir. My number 10 is also a life experience. I'd gotten a chance to meet one of the comic artists I probably
nice.
idolized the most growing up. In Glendale, there's actually a place called, they call it Halloween Row. It's like a bunch of spooky ass shops and antique stores and goth places. So there was an event where Jhonen Vasquez was doing a signing.
Nice.
And I definitely grew up on Zim. I grew up on his comic work. So I went out there with some trades, floppies of Johnny the Homicidal Maniac and Squee, his independent publishing from the 90s. And it was so cool. I would say the thing that kind of struck me, one is just he looks exactly the same. He is exactly the same, and that blew my mind. I couldn't. I had first met him when I was like I think in high school still, or just starting college. So I was barely 20, and I think he was just barely turning 30 something. So now all these years later, just getting to see him talk a little bit about how his process has changed over time, and at the same time, the sense of humor I don't think has changed at all. There's something resolute and consistent about the delivery of a Jhonen joke, which is jet black humor, but it's always so fucking it's not really at the expense of somebody, unless it's absurdly at their expense, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's like, haha, and now you'll be eaten by raptors, or something ridiculous. Like so I don't know, it was really awesome just to hear Jhonen get to come out and talk about the work of his early career to the present. And also, I recommend anybody who is a fan of his work, go out and check out. He's been doing print work. He's been doing some illustrative work for other folks' projects. I think one of the last big things he had done was character design for Disney,
nice.
while he was in the process of pitching Very Important House, which he talked a little bit about that. And I don't know. It's also really interesting. We talked a little bit earlier about the writing of Jason Pargin, and it's interesting because I think that there's a through line there as well of just like young men having a portal for the rage to go somewhere constructive. Like, there is a deep well of anger about society, things that are messed up, and then putting it in this wonderful way. I'm glad that he's still picking at those ideas. So that was my number 10. It was so cool to see Jhonen again, and he's so talented, and I hope he publishes some new stuff.
Nice, dude. Yeah, no, happy.
Oh yeah.
I remember you telling me about that. And yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah,
so cool.
All right, my number 10, Furiosa. That's right.
Oh,
so,
okay.
What?
Is it the movie or the entire experience we had watching it?
Well, Nick, on this top 10, I have written Furiosa / the 4D experience. That is how it be. I saw the TV glow. You ain't gonna get that shit with a deep Lynchian analysis of what it means to have this thing inside of you that you can't express, not because of anyone else is doing per se, but because you yourself are too scared. No, I wanted the 4D, the blast of water, the being thrown out of my seat because the car crashed and it was awesome.
Dude.
And then there's shit flying and it's. Listen, we talked about it on the Furiosa thing.
Okay, yeah, we did.
We did. I cannot overstate how much of a good time I had watching that movie. I will never. IMAX overrated. Yeah, it's a big fucking screen. You have to sit in a smaller chair with a bunch of other people, and you're still paying the exact price as a 4D experience. The only other thing is maybe Dolby. I think the sound system actually helps out a lot, and I would rather have that as well as in-depth colors and everything. But the 4D experience has that. Has what Dolby digital experience does. But you're in a ride. You're in
dude, it's okay.
It's the Indiana Jones ride from Disneyland, but for 3 hours. It's great. It's great. I love it.
I just want to add. Yeah. No. I just want to, because you're absolutely right. Like, we talked about it forever. Like, the entire experience of 4DX. Was it worth the money? Absolutely. Was 100%. It worth? Because Ian, I had literally the ride of my life for. Nick
almost fell out of his chair.
I almost fell out.
Nick is over 6 feet tall.
I'm like 6'3". I'm like 260 pounds, and I literally almost fell out of my chair, like, because of how much it shook. I never experienced any of that watching any other film ever.
Yeah,
and Dune's cool and all. The sand, La Sanagaib, those bald dudes in the black sun. That's cool.
Who even cares?
But fucking. When the helicopter, when they're doing like the chase, and then the guy's on the propeller, and he gets blown up, and then the fucking flash of light followed by the shake where it's shaking so much I had to put my food down and my water down because I was gonna.
Forget about eating. Forget about eating during the.
Don't forget it. Yeah, don't eat
do
before.
It.
Eat, drink before. Don't go in there holding anything in your hand because it will fly out.
It's awesome. I thought they were gonna hold back. They fucking did not.
They did not.
That thing.
No, sir.
I can't express to people how much I recommend it. It's not in theaters anymore. But if they ever do it again, yo man, go do that shit. It's awesome. You get there, you get into that thing, and you see at the top of the ceilings just lights and giant wind fans. What are those going to be used for? And then you sit down, and there's a switch on your seat called water on or off, and you don't know what that means until they do the presentation trailer before the movie plays, and someone gets hit with water, and it's like someone does a spit take in your face. I got soaked.
I had
to clean my glasses. And you're like, well, at least in Furiosa, it's the fucking desert, so I'm not going to get like water on me or anything, except people get shot in that movie and blood spurts out. So every time blood happens, and they get shot, a little air thing happens by your head to make you feel like you yourself got shot. And then they spit, and then water comes at you like as the blood. Ian, it was awesome. It was not. Listen. I saw Ian. I saw the TV glow. Yes, that will remain with me, and I still think about it. And although I would argue Furiosa's villain has actually a lot of depth to it, and there's a lot of things to talk about, especially in the hollowness of like men in power and like what that actually leads into, and how that's all fucked up. And how that can never actually be love because there's nothing there. But also, when that car crashed, my seat almost threw me out of the theater. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Number 10.
It was number 10.
Number 10.
And only up from here.
Yeah.
All right.
Nick. Oh, yeah, Nick, go ahead.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Yeah.
My number 9 is my second life event.
Okay.
Followed by a song. So a life event occurs last year.
Okay.
And then all you hear at 11:30 p.m. on May 3rd, 2024.
Okay, I know what you mean.
Dear Adonis, dear Sandra, dear baby girl, dear Aubrey, fuck a rap battle. This is a lifelong battle with yourself. This song in particular, Meet the Grams,
Yeah,
from the entire beef. Not forget a beef. This is public assassination because
it
this
was. It was the public beating.
Yeah.
I don't know what people are on that they thought Drake could ever compete. What the fuck were you thinking? Whatever.
What did they think was going to happen?
Yeah.
Jermaine knew. Anyway. So my thing is like listening to K-Dot, I think even since back in 2012 with like way early stuff and sort of just this being a culmination of everything with Kendrick's career and just as an audience member seeing the music change to this style that Drake prospers the most from.
Right.
Financially, culturally, and sort of this breaking point and kind of like seeing I know there's plenty of videos that talk about it, but for me, the drops Kendrick did for Meet the Grams, I don't think it can be topped in any part of rap history or hip hop history when these songs drop in regards to like the dread, like the genuine dread experience of it. Like,
it was to the point where it's like, because I knew people said this isn't funny anymore, and to which I said, y'all don't really get hate, because I get hate, and this shit's awesome. So, like, but but it would have been different because at this point in rap beefs, people die. And there was that thing where like someone climbed Drake's fence or like Kendrick's fence as well, but like no one's dead from this beef.
True.
And that in itself is like maybe saying something about like the industry or like what, or maybe that's for the better. But like this was the overall thing. It's more about like what Drake represents for like what the industry is, the hip hop industry is as a whole. Granted, there are people who know way more about this shit than I do. I would particularly recommend looking up FD Signifier. I've never recommended him on here before, but he talks about that stuff too, and he has a whole Drake video about that. But I'm glad you chose Meet the Grams because Meet the Grams is my favorite song that came out of all that.
Same, because someone described the top comment described it perfectly on the video for Meet the Grams. He wrote this with one hand, a quill pen, while holding a Glock in his left hand.
It's one of those because well, oh my god, why am I fucking up the name of the song after the
Not Like Us,
because I knew you said that was your favorite song out of it, so you must have really thought about this, unless it's appeared somewhere later in the list. I don't know.
It's Meet the Grams.
Okay, it's Meet the Grams. Not Like Us is still a great part, and that's the great like victory lap, because that is I can do what you do but better. And to its credit, like it still has the line of certified lover boy, not certified pedophile, and you get a bunch of people singing that in a stadium 10 times over about you, dude. Come on, that's like I don't think Drake should be making music anymore. Like I think that's it. Like that's. And now with the lawsuit, oh my god, it looks so much more perfect. Sorry, Ian, are you trying to say something?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I do remember that Drake had a show the next day.
Yeah.
And had a whole ass crowd sing that at him on stage. Like, I don't know how I would ever return to public life having an audience do that.
Tell you that you are a pedophile.
Yeah, that would be
Dude, come on, like what? Yeah, and now all the stuff with the lawsuit is so fucking. It's even more pathetic. That great thing of I'm not suing them for any of that, any claiming that I'm a pedophile, claiming all that. Nope. I'm suing because like, it wasn't that many views. That was cheap. It wasn't that popular.
Yeah.
Because and granted, if he has to go against the claims, he has to go prove it, and we all know. Like,
Yeah.
but I'm with you, Nick. In terms of songs, I like Meet the Grams the most. I know people don't find it fun or more of a horror thing, as we've kind of established. Anger and hate is something that I've too have like really meditated on and like thought about, and I would still consider a lot of my life work or personal work is I'm still trying to figure that out and work around that while also trying to find beauty in like grotesque things.
Yeah.
But Meet the Grams hits. Like I understand those feelings that like that's hate. That is big hate energy. And I love it.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yep. Number 9.
Number nine. All right, Ian, number 9.
Number 9. Number 9, I put down now I work real hard to get this list in a rough shape, but number 9 for me is the September release of Hundreds of Beavers.
I still haven't watched it.
I still haven't watched it either.
Guys, it's maybe one of my favorite things in the sense of here's some information that'll help kind of place it for you guys. Its total budget production wise was $150,000. That's it.
Which is really cheap for a movie.
That's nothing.
Dirt cheap.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money for me, but that's dirt cheap for me.
To pay for the film, for the equipment, for the locations, for the actors, for the costumes, and oh my god! I mean, the money is well spent here. It's sent out by Vinegar Syndrome. It was written and directed by Mike Chesick. And it's rough. It's basically the story of an Applejack, like an apple farmer who made Applejack spirits, who loses everything in the winter and becomes a fur trapper. And the movie kind of operates on, I would say it's a combination of movie logic and video game logic.
Okay.
So you are just watching a man like comedically fail at catching beavers and surviving in the wilderness until he periodically gets better and better and better at surviving in the wild and skinning beavers. All of the woodland creatures in this movie is one actor in a duplicated costume hundreds and hundreds of times. It's also got kind of like the old vaudeville references in it. Like it's there's scenes that are in black and white. There's scenes that have like the lumberjack character fighting on a rolling log. It's I don't know. It's a fun movie. It's a joyful movie, and it's a movie where it's people making their debut and really experimenting with the medium. Like I haven't watched a movie like Hundreds of Beavers ever, I don't think. So I would just recommend it on those terms alone. It's 107 minutes long. It's not a very long movie.
Oh yeah.
And it made me laugh out loud several times. Like it's been a while since I've seen a slapstick comedy. Like it's a lot of physical comedy.
Oh hell yeah.
This hits.
I'm excited for it.
Really well. Yeah. So yeah, if you get a chance, I believe it's on VOD. If you have Amazon Prime, you can watch it any old time. But Hundreds of Beavers, go check it out, guys. That's my number 9.
Yeah, go support it. No, it's been on my list for a while. I still got to watch it. And I will keep bringing it up to Ian that I've been saying that slapstick is going to come back. For maybe 10 years now, and I am being proved more and more right every day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I take full credit for that. Ian, why would you doubt me? So I said,
you naysaying son of a bitch.
How dare you?
No, yapping.
I kid. But all right, so my number 9 is probably my album of the year. I had to really think about this.
Okay.
And there's probably an album I forgot, but it's what came to my head. Album of the year, Gothic Engine by Dan Terminus.
Ooh.
I'm a huge fan of Dan Terminus. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'll say that's my number 7.
That's your number 7? All right, we can talk about it. So your number 7 is Gothic Engine as well. Gothic Engine by Dan Terminus. So I've been a huge fan of Dan Terminus since college. So that's another 10 years since Wrath of Code. And I think everything he puts out is like top notch, like
100%.
S tier. There is another. He is like Gost too in the sense that there's no one quite sounding like him. His use full like custom samples and things that are drawn out from the fucking ColecoVision days and sound bites like that. All this cacophony of like stuff that sounds chaotic, stuff that would come out chaotic but well put together and beautiful, just beautiful tracks of music.
Mm.
Oh, man.
I still stand by that. Well, Wrath of Code is a metal album, just all digitized, and the automated reframes, which came out after, is the closest thing we have to prog rock if it was synthwave. But like,
Yeah.
and it's phenomenal, and that one's also up there for one of my favorite albums of all time. Gothic Engine, and then he would do one after, all aboard, right?
Yeah.
Which is still really good. I don't like it quite as much as automated reframes. It's very different. It's more chaotic. And he said he wrote that because automated reframes apparently almost like he said that was he total wipeout. Like he was burnt out to the bone. He put so much hours and work into each song, and you can feel it very much so.
It paid off, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and then All Aboard is he very more what's it called kind of just by the seat of his pants, like he was really just kind of going with the flow as he made it, and it feels like that. It's more chaotic, it's more rough, but there's a still really good sound to it. It sounds like just really killer Mortal Kombat music. That makes sense. Just brought to modern age. And then this one I think is that, but more refined and still chaotic and still like kind of like stream of conscious, but I think more well put together. I think it's that sound but better. Like I think he's really grown from like between this album and the last one. I think there was a lot of growth, which is weird to say for an artist that like's been doing it for so long. But he's nailed it. I think Stargazer into let me make sure I get the names right. Well, I'll start with the intro. The intro of the Gothic Engine is still phenomenal. Like, just take on sound samples and like just creating an emotion and a story, with just all sound. It's weird. It's so weird to say. But Stargazer is probably my song of the year, if not one of, like next to it. Stargazer into All a Head Full is just 10 out of 10 transitions. All the songs, dude. The heavy metal's great. Ignorant Masses, back to his like metal roots too, because he does like a little metal project on the side. And then Vertigree, maybe one of, if not my favorite single of the year. But there were some pretty good singles that came out this year. But Vertigree's good.
I was gonna say I think it might be my favorite art from Luca Cari, the painter, for all his work.
100%.
It's his most really chaotic good. For sure.
Yeah, Luca Cari does really good psychedelic, like it's kind of these dreamlike visions that are all digitized, like, or not all digital. It's very colorful, very like visceral and high energy. Like, it's great. It's fantastic. And yeah, I like this new one a lot. It's by I agree with you. It's by far his most chaotic too I've seen. Phenomenal artist. He just, and then at the start of the new year, Dan Terminus just put out a great live album that's phenomenal.
Sick. Oh,
so
my God.
We'll see if that makes top 10 next year. Everyone should go check out Dan Terminus. I think he's been making phenomenal music for years, for like over a decade now. I think he's one of the best to do it in the synthwave. As a singular artist, especially, he's phenomenal. So, album of the year, Gothic Engine by Dan Terminus. All right, Nick, number 8.
My number 8 is the first game. My entry.
Got it.
So, this has been a long time coming. But Chris,
Yeah.
I'm gonna take you for a ride.
So my number 6.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We can talk about it. All right. So before we talk about the game itself, because as a collection, it might be my favorite collection Capcom's ever done. Game-wise.
Even more than NT Warrior?
I think so.
Wow. Okay, that's a big deal for Nick.
I think about this because it was gonna. Because back then I really wanted NT Warriors, but Fighting Collection, I think because the one up it has over NT Warriors for me personally, is the cultural relief. The cultural relief.
Yeah. Okay.
The fact that they give a shit about MVC about versus games now, and being able to when this trailer dropped, to me that was like the thing I want the most to see, the thing I want the most in games to succeed, because yeah. So like with Chris, we always talked about how while we may not be on any level competitive,
Hell no.
like no,
I've learned that the hard way over and over again.
we can't deny sort of our lifelong journey with Capcom, Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yeah, man.
And just how much of a significance it has, not only for games, but this feeling of seeing a work of art being like such a important part of the journey of getting to competitive fighting games or in getting to like video game communities. And Fighting Collection is collecting and like all the versus game, most of the versus game, like everything that started, even from like Punisher beat 'em up all the way to MVC 2. And what you get is this phenomenal collection, and it's probably the best those games are going to run on a console for them.
On a console, yeah.
On a console.
Because I know people have gotten. Oh, sorry. I'll just say real quick. I know people have gotten an arcade. Oh my god, the fucking online arcade thing. Why am I fucking up names today? Anyway, there's people know what I'm talking about if you play fighting games. They probably have probably have a lot running better on that version that people were playing on FVC2 on before. But mention real quick, we all thought they were going to go back to that emulator. No, people have been sticking with this collection because it plays incredibly well.
Yeah,
it's almost arcade perfect. If not, some of them are like as close as we remember.
Best version.
But yeah, sorry, Nick. You keep going, and then I'll say my piece. I got a whole diatribe like about the same.
Yeah, so I'll just end. Yeah, on that note, like I could just end it by saying it's number 8 because same with Meet the Grams, same with Cynthoni coming back. Yeah, it's the payoff of experiencing works of art through their own timeline and essentially having a celebration and appreciation for the impact it's had over the years.
Yeah.
And Marvel vs. Capcom fighting game collection and playing through it, going through the artwork, going through the galleries and seeing how it collected all the original arcade. It scanned everything from the arcade, like banners and the movesets. Which is phenomenal.
Yeah, the amount of art in here is just the sheer amount of artwork, both from concept and game, shit that hasn't been found before. Now in here, like, is phenomenal. 1, 2, the quality, the scan quality is like you can zoom in and see those little individual strokes and pixels and everything printed on. It's great if you're into art, like just not even that into fighting games, but you're into art and like character art. You love Marvel characters, you love Capcom characters, or any of those. You should check this shit out. It is like a museum of just hit. Yeah, no, it's history. It really is. It's
Mhm.
arcade history all packed into here that
Yeah.
wasn't available before. So we found out things like about
Mhm.
these games because they found them in Star, and that's thanks to the head of the Capcom fighting game division now. I'm forgetting his name. I think it's Nakuhima. But he's on Twitter, and it was funny because like I've been following that dude on Twitter too ever since he had its Street Fighter 6. But he was going into Capcom closets and like archives and showing these pieces of art on like Twitter. We're like, wow, dude, that's cool that he's finding them. Little did we know, it was all for this fucking collection, and he was scanning them.
Oh yeah.
That dude, like doing the Lord's work, man. No one else does. Just people who
Yeah.
really gave a shit about these games.
Yeah. So it's my number 8
Mhm.
because Marvel's back, and
Marvel.
I'll say.
All right, it's my number 6, mostly because a lot of life experiences follow, except for 2 games, and we'll get into that. People have been listening to our stuff, especially the Storyteller Cast, know how much I love the Marvel vs. Capcom games. In fact, I've told this story on stream. I've told this. Nick knows the story very well. Of just, hey man, I'm a little kid. I'm walking through arcade for the first time, a shitty arcade at a shitty golf course near us. I won't name names. But all of a sudden, I walk by and I hear a little bass line going like doom 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 doom, and then just the sound breakdown. And I'm like, what is that? And I look, and there's this cabinet, and all of a sudden these Marvel characters start coming out, and I'm like, holy shit, that's Wolverine, that's Spider-Man, that's the Hulk, and then all these other characters that I wasn't familiar with yet. I'm like, wow, they look really cool. That dude does like karate, and like that, he's got like a cyber eye, and they're just flying by, and all you hear is Marvel versus Capcom 2. Put that little quarter in, and I'm gonna take you for a ride. Starts playing, and I was faced with just this explosion of character options. I could play as all my favorite Marvel characters at the time. All these crazy, crazy Marvel, um, just this explosion of, and like being overwhelmed as a kid and having that high standards and loving playing fighting games. So that Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is the reason like I play fighting games. Not the reason I'm good. I'm not even that good. I'm very amateur at this. But I would keep on going until like high school where Marvel vs. Capcom 3 comes out. And like that made me start playing online with other people and being like, dude, I really like playing against people in this game. And which came at a really great time because the only multiplayer thing really was big was like Call of Duty, and I really don't like multiplayer shooters, so I was left out of a lot of things. Or I would force myself to play it, but MVC3 was like, yeah, dude, I can play with people, and people love this shit. And then nothing happened for like the longest time, and we got nothing. And then Marvel would come back in Infinite. I was excited too and blown. And then Infinite's this huge disappointment. Great gameplay wise, but just lacking in every other aspect. And we all thought Marvel was dead for really good reason. And then this trailer for this collection comes out of nowhere like 10 years later.
Yeah.
And now I'm playing it. Now people are back in on it. Realizing the love it has all the games. And like it's a phenomenal collection. We went to Evo. That was the first thing we did at Evo. When we went there, we headed straight to the Capcom booth, and we played MVC2. And my controller was broken, but fuck, dude, if I didn't give it a shot, it's a phenomenal collection. Everyone should get it. Everyone should check it out. If you're Marvel vs. Capcom art still has some of my favorite renditions of Marvel characters. It's my favorite, like X-Men designs. It's my favorite, by far my favorite Venom. Phenomenal stuff. It's a piece of history.
Yeah.
And should go play some Marvel, dude. Like, go check it out. I know people say the Punisher's the weird, and it is. It's weird.
That's cool.
Collection on there. It's very cool. It's a good game. But what a lot of people don't know, history wise, is that is the start of the Capcom and Marvel collaboration effort.
Yeah.
Oh.
It all started because one dude wanted it really bad.
Yeah.
To connect.
Really
And
big.
everyone was like, I don't want my name attached. I don't want to like risk my name being attached to this collaboration and it fucking up.
Yeah.
But that guy was willing to. He was the only one willing to do it, and boy, it spawned a franchise, man.
Incredible.
Fucking cool. Okay, everyone go check it out. Marvel's Nick's right. Marvel's back. We're just waiting for Marvel's Capcom 4, and then I'll just like shit myself or something. Like I'll get I would have survived and lived long enough to see it. Can't wait. Yeah. So Nick, that was your number. That was your number 8, and my number 6.
All right. I want to take a bathroom break. I'll be back.
All right.
Got it. All right, Ian. Then you want to go on your number 8?
Yeah, absolutely, gang. Rolling along, my number 8 is the first book on the list. It's by a writer who last year their last novel won the Bram Stoker Award for fiction. That award went to a book called The Devil Takes You Home. I am going to talk about one of my favorite books, which is by Gabino Iglesias. It's called The House of Bone and Rain. It is like a neo-noir, I would describe it as.
Okay.
It's got pretty great historic and mythologic allusions, but what's kind of crazy is the inciting incident and then some of the details of the novel are autobiographical. So I actually have a quote here I just wanted to throw out here from the writer.
Yeah.
And this is the inciting incident. This isn't a spoiler. This is him, pitching the novel, so don't worry about that. But Iglesias says, my plot is plucked out from real life. I had a friend, and his mother used to work doing ID checks at a club in San Juan. There was a drive-by shooting, and she took 2 bullets to the head and dropped dead on the street there. Obviously, it was very painful, and we cried and hugged each other. And as soon as it was over, it was like, we have to find the man who did this. And so the novel is about it's about a group of 5 childhood friends, one whose name Gabe, Javier, Tavo, Paul, and Bimbo. And Bimbo's mother is the ID checker at a club in San Juan who gets shot in a drive-by in daylight for dealing in someone else's area. And the story then gets into kind of the underground side of the island in Puerto Rico, and you get the story that is, I would compare it to, we've talked about it on the old show, I want to say, a series called Bigfoot. In that it's a story that kind of tantalizes you with the idea that you might get a supernatural horror story. But the horror ends up just being, oh no, it keeps getting more real and real as we go on. There's nothing supernatural. Actually, this is just some real bad folks.
It's just reality.
It's just reality, and it's horrifying. And the middle part of the novel, while they're looking to kind of follow leads as to who's responsible for this older woman's death, is interrupted by Hurricane Maria hitting the island. And so, you get all kinds of really great grounding in it, but it is I'd say like a dark action thriller more than anything. Where, a group of friends kind of push the limits and see, how far will you go to help me? I want revenge on the man who took my mother from me, basically. To the author's credit, I want to say, like, House of Bone and Rain is such a swift read. The prose is really, really good.
Nice.
We start each chapter not unlike Black Box, where we're going to jump around perspective periodically to try and get a greater idea of who's doing what to who, where, and when. But it's really mysterious. It's really grim. The writing is strong and clear. I'd recommend the book to anybody. It's kind of in the area of things that I think are kind of interesting. So yeah, it's very true crime. It's very gritty and grimy. But
Nice.
yeah, great novel. Great novel, guys.
That sounds really good.
Nice.
All right. My number 8 is another video game.
Ooh.
If y'all can believe it. Number 8 is a DLC to one of the most addictive slot machines I've ever played in my life, and it's by far my favorite slot machine. And that is Vampire Survivors. Specifically, Ode to Castlevania.
Oh,
one of the best deal. It's like twice as big as when as the game Vampire Survivors was when it launched.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy. It's this story. It's Vampire Survivors when it came out was like obviously taking their like tracing sprites from Castlevania and being this knockoff, but then its own phenomenal game.
Right.
That's just super addictive and great, but doesn't use any predator. It doesn't use like, man, and he said, or people have told him, like, if you put in like monetary transactions in here, like just like little things, little DLCs, he could have it could have ruined people, but he didn't. That's not what he wants the game to be.
Good.
And it's phenomenal. I love Vampire. I fucking love Vampire Survivors. And then they finally come around and have a collaboration with Konami, and it's all the characters from Castlevania you would want. Music, the original tracks, and remixes from a bunch of people, including an artist me and Nick have talked about here on before, one Keegan Church, aka Master B Record. And it's phenomenal. It's one of the best soundtracks of the year. The only one that I think kind of beats it is FF7 Rebirth, and that's because FF7 Rebirth both has really great music, but the sheer quantity of it is phenomenal. But Ode to Castlevania has that too. I want to point out, like, and the level is phenomenal. The power-ups are great. The unlocking is so good, and man, there's a reveal. There's a surprise in this DLC that is 10 out of 10 top notch.
Okay.
One of those that can only be done in a video game, and specifically this video game. That when it happens, you're just rocked. It's I won't say more than that. The only reason I'm not saying more, even though we said we do spoilers, is because I know Nick is on it on his way
Right.
to getting to this DLC. All I'll say from here to give a little taste is that credit song in this DLC, because there are credits, is one of my favorite Castlevania tracks now. And that's saying something with a franchise known for kick-ass music. It's being great. Nick, when you get to that song, dude, oh, it's going to all come together. You would also be like, that's probably my song of the year. Because I'll be real, I lied. That's my song of the year, is the credits like to Vampire Survivors.
Okay.
Stargazer is probably second.
Yeah.
I do want to bring up real quick, I totally forgot to put something in here. As we were talking about MVC, I totally forgot to put X-Men 97 in my top 10.
Oh.
And I feel really bad because that was the best TV show I watched last year. Next to one other one. Yeah.
Can I say where it is on my top 10?
Yeah.
Now that you mention it.
As punishment, I'm going to put mine in honorable mention. So when we get to your top 10, Nick, we'll get to that.
Okay.
It probably would have taken the place of what the next TV show is.
Oh, okay.
But so I'll talk about that. But yeah, Nick, you're number 7.
Well, my number 7 was Gothic Engine by Dan Terminus.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
And that was my album of the year.
All right, so let's go to Ian then. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was gonna say my 6.
Oh, well,
What's
let's
your
go
6?
to Ian.
Okay.
To keep the 7s going.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. and then we'll come back around 6 because then we're gonna skip my 6 as well.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Ian, you're number 7.
My number 7 for this year is a comic series that I followed as it was being published, and it just man, it hit some spot in me, in my brain. It was just so good. It's written by Brian Posehn and Rick Remender.
Oh, okay.
It's the art is done by Brett Parson and Moreno Decino, and it's Grommets. It's a 7-issue run. It has just completed. I just got my last issue a few days ago. It's a 7-issue run set in 1984, and it follows Rick and Brian, who are 2 skaters in Sacramento. It's a wonderful slice of life kind of story. It feels very grounded. I think you and I know people like that. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to read any of Grommets.
No,
yet.
not yet. It's on my list. I heard Brian Posehn had written it because I'm a huge Brian Posehn fan. Yes. So I know it's on there. It's up there with like Barfly, which Patton Oswalt wrote, or co-wrote, and the other one that Patton Oswalt released that year.
Mm-hmm.
He has like 2 he has 2 comics. Brian Posehn has a comic. I have to check those out. I just got like a bunch of comics too. I'll talk about it later. I don't want to take up too much time with shit I haven't read. So, but yeah, it's on there. It's on there.
So yeah, if you're a fan of skating, if you're a fan of like mid-century California, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that I really dig about this. The setting is so specific. There's like so many scenes set in somebody's living room with vertical wood panel walls that, that I'm just like, oh, that's my grandparents' house. Yeah. Oh, that was my. Oh, okay. I've been in hundreds of homes like this. So I don't know. There's maybe something really nostalgic and comforting about a lot of it, even though, I mean, ostensibly, Rick and Brian are outsiders who have a very hard time just getting on with other people. There's I mean, that's one thing maybe I'll mention a little bit is, like, it was a very aggressive time in the 80s. I like the kinds of things that
were fucked up, man. The 80s were fucked up, man.
The 80s was kind of fucked up, man. Well, so there's a scene in Grommets where there's a house party.
Yeah.
And just the degree to which that scene deteriorates and goes entirely sideways is both me as an adult reading it, like, terrifying in a whole other way.
Yeah.
Like, they're at a house party. People they didn't invite show up.
Oh yeah.
People who don't like punks showed up.
Oh, sick.
And then you know, one of the football players has a gun. Because
cool.
Yeah, why wouldn't he have one?
Yeah.
And it's an incredibly, like, there's lots of moments where you're like, Jesus, why is no one supervising any of these children? What's going on? Like,
oh yeah, yeah.
That was the 80s. That was the 90s. That was how it was. Like,
yeah.
So I don't know. I loved it. It's really fun, and you can read the whole thing now. Go try Grommets. That's my number 7. Yeah.
Nice, hell yeah.
Nice. All right, so that would leave to me my number 7. This would have been replaced by X-Men 97. So what I will say about X-Men 97 is that I can't believe I forgot, dude. I had it on. Oh, fuck me. X-Men 97 is the best piece of animation I saw last year. Straight up. The first episode alone is this great return, and this was after I rewatched all of the original X-Men.
Yeah,
which was fun. I had a blast doing it. That is some goofy, campy stuff. It's really trying. It really is
It is.
to tackle issues, and I totally get why it's so beloved. If I was growing up around that time and that was my show, yeah, I would have been a believer. Like, but still good. X-Men 97 is this phenomenal return to form. With the first episode just being everything you want. It's what you thought this show was, like, in your head back in the day. And there's team up attacks. The fight scene is like top notch comic book fighting with like obvious inspirations from the fighting games as well. He does a combo, and Cyclops does moves in there that I'm like, yeah, that's the game. That's MVC too. That's Children of the Atom.
Yeah.
Wolverine does an air super from MVC3. It's phenomenal. And then you get to episode, I believe it's 4, which is Genoa. Not Genova.
Genosha.
Genosha, yeah.
Genosha.
God, I was confusing it with episode 7 for a second. And that's probably one of the best episodes of television I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
Yes. It is one of the tightest 30 minutes I've seen put to screen, while tackling so goddamn much in just one. It's tragic, it's beautiful, it's this turn that you've always like wanted. It's this hard stance of Magneto's right.
Because there's
okay.
No, I was gonna say, like, and I think what really stood out also is like there's rarely any music. You just have, because I think because they really want you to sit with their desperation to survive.
Yeah. It's phenomenal. Like, it's tackling just how, if we're letting these extremist groups go unchecked out of like some notion of tolerance, like the quote unquote idea of tolerance as they define it, as people define it, because it can mean different things, and like, then this is what it's going to lead to. It's going to lead to terror attacks, genocide. It's very much the director of that episode said, like, that was very much inspired by their friend being in the Pulse nightclub shooting. Jeez. And they captured that. Like, it feels like they captured that. I can't speak for it because I wasn't part of that. I wasn't there. But it really captures this like desperation, this chaos of, and also just people, like the love that you could see in that, like in Genosha, for each other, just as a community being wrought apart and torn apart. With the tragedy of Gambit passing away, never getting to know that Rogue chose him. Fuck, man. Like, better than better than like 90% of comic book stories. It's so phenomenal. It's great. It's a real accomplishment. That would have been there if I had remembered and not been an idiot. Instead, I put number 7, Better Call Saul, because I finished that 2024.
Well, that's a good show. Don't be.
It's a good show.
Okay.
It's a great show. It's a phenomenal show. Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
No, yeah, it is. And I do want to say I was really happy to, I myself, who watched it, rewatching it with Chris, because we shared prior in other podcast episodes even about rewatching and sort of appreciating different aspects of this show, and just how well Vince Gilligan and his writers balance all types of tones, all these characters, tying it to the main storyline, tying it to brand new characters being introduced, feeling like they've been there all along. It's, man, that's one of my favorite shows of all time, and
it's good. It's really good.
Like the idea.
Oh, go ahead.
Just so quickly to say, the idea of making a prequel where we give a shit about the stakes.
Yeah.
How like, and they pulled it off.
They pulled it off. They 100% do. You're in the entire way. It's it's one of those things where you get to see Vince Gilligan like even more, like more of his writing and how he's maturing with that, or like growing with it. And I got to rewatch Breaking Bad, but just like my gut feeling is that this is better. Like I think the juggling's better. Like we said, the character study of that, of like everyone's their own like look into what that kind of person is. With one of the greatest villains I've seen in television.
Oh my god!
Because it's a villain. It's a villain where society, not just in the TV show, but in our own society, if we followed the rules, tells you is right and is the hero. And it's just everything. He's just everything wrong with the justice system put into a person.
Yeah.
And yet you still feel empathy and sympathy for him because of what he's going through. But at your core, you know it's like he's the problem, man. Like he is what's wrong. With what we have.
How can you talk about that about Howard? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, how could I?
Why would you talk about Howard like that?
I would talk about Howard like that.
I'll shit all over him.
Shit all over Howard.
You should have gotten her that promotion, that asshole.
Howard is such a wild case study as a foil to his brother, and we won't talk too long. I know we gotta push on, but the thought I had was just like, because I think Jimmy is a liar who is habitually overly genuine with people. I think that like his what's the word I want? Like he more often than not is actually coming from a
Ian. Howard is not the brother. Howard is the lawyer. Howard Hamlin.
Oh, Howard Hamlin.
You're talking about Chuck. Chris thinks the main villain is Chuck.
Oh, you think it's Chuck?
Chuck's the brother.
Oh, but time out. Everyone time. I love the moment where when you said it had one of the best villains ever, we all thought of different people because Ian was thinking he mistaken the Chuck, but you both were thinking Chuck. I was thinking of Lalo as the best villain.
Lalo's really good. Lalo is
he's evil.
He is evil incarnate.
Unstoppable.
Yeah, it's chaotic evil.
Yeah.
It's a great like, how do you top Gus as a villain, right? Like, because Gus was by far the best villain of Breaking Bad and is a phenomenal character in this one too. So you have to go like completely different and unique from Tuco as well, which is just violence, and like with Lalo being just this chaotic thing of you don't know, he is fully capable person who will make people like love him at the same time. Just he's capable of just instant murder, and exacting revenge. He's great. I'm talking about Chuck.
Chuck is but I agree with you. Chuck is the worst.
Chuck is the fucking worst. Like he is, and he is a phenomenal written villain. Like Howard is my favorite character. Besides
Howard, what was your favorite scene?
One of my favorite scenes in this entire show, because I can't stop talking about it, is Howard running through the backyards, jumping fences, so that Saul doesn't see him as he goes to find Chuck. And just every character moment he has with that, because that is not something he should do, but how he executes it, fixing his suit after each jump, getting ready. Oh my god, just a toy soldier of a man. Patrick Fabian's performance of Howard is both phenomenal and yet hilariously executed. As I describe him, a toy soldier incarnate. It's crazy. He's one of my favorite side characters of all time. He's hilarious. I love it.
So we talked about before about well, I know we even mentioned like in the last podcast series we had. Well, we did talk about it's my favorite episode, but I would argue it's like one of my favorite episodes of anything of all time. and it's the battery. And
chicanery.
yeah, chicanery is kind of like with X-Men 97. There's just that one episode where it's just the tightest minutes ever.
Yeah.
Like, that's also up there for one of the best episodes of television I've ever seen.
I agree.
If people haven't watched that, go, like, you're in for a fucking treat.
It's an achievement of finding a genuine loophole in a legal system.
I know. I remember we were watching it, and I went to Nick. Wait, can that happen? That's crazy. That shouldn't be. And it's like, in the specific state of New Mexico at this specific era, early 2000s, that law was totally real. Like, and you could totally do that.
Yeah. And then how the only way to get Chuck is to
make him admit he's faulty.
Yeah, make him admit that it's not about. So it really is all about Saul.
Yeah.
It's all about Jim. And I loved how much they sort of, because when it does that thing where like they focus on one thing, that and you realize focusing on this one thing removes focus from the other thing, because everything up until that was the battery itself.
Yeah.
But once it became Chuck showing his genuine feelings for Jimmy, it no longer became about the battery.
No.
Yeah.
But he was trying to convince people it was about.
It was about the battery. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good.
What
a phenomenal show. So that was I had finished that in 2024, which is why it's on this list. At number 7. Nick, you're number 6. And I will say this, once we get to number 5, you all cool with taking a bathroom break?
I would love that.
Because we're gonna hit 2 hours soon.
Oh my god. Number 6 is my film of the year.
Got it.
And this is also same with, this is just a year of comebacks. I don't know. This is like same with MVC, with games, same with music, Cynthoni. But this is a comeback. I think out of everything here, this is more specifically tailored to myself.
Okay.
Number 6 is Mononoke, Phantom in the Rain.
Really? Okay, because I watched that with you. It's really good. I totally forgot. Yeah, that would have been an honorable mention.
Yeah.
It's great.
I loved it. So it is kind of, I know I shared even like way back with Storyteller, like one of the first podcasts even, where I recommended it after watching it in 2016, 2017. Yeah. The show itself, Mononoke, saying this is something.
I watched that this year too,
yeah. That we should at least, I was trying to recommend with like, I feel like if we all watched this and talked about it, there's like so much to discuss in regards to like what it means to sort of have a genuine hybrid of the culture of storytelling. Have like a genuine hybrid of just every form of storytelling from a certain culture put into a modern series. With Mononoke.
Right down to big anime fight.
Yeah, right down to big anime fight.
From Bakugo to big anime fight. Yeah.
Big cool anime fight.
Big cool anime fight in the air.
Yeah. Phantom in the Rain does have that. It's definitely, you can feel it for sure. Just the years that gone by. It's a Marin lens now. It's great. It's the story. It's a straight up sequel to the original series in 2012. Phantom in the Rain is a Netflix original, in where the main character, the medicine seller, visits essentially trying to find the best way to describe it. Because would you describe it as like a hotel?
It's no, it's a compound. I guess that seems really mean, but that's what it is. It's a government funded place for all these women who are in service to the emperor.
Oof. Okay.
and are on maybe they're ladies in waiting, or maybe they're just like the prince's preferred concubines.
Mm-hmm.
Japan has its flaws. Early Japan, that a lot of anime doesn't touch, and this one does. But
Okay. Okay.
it's no, it's I mean, the franchise is not known for is known for tackling like the darker subjects, so, and it does with gusto here.
Mm-hmm.
And like also of just like, what's a woman's actual way out at that time, to climb society, or to um get out of horrible situations. And it was probably this was a big one,
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I say yeah. So it's called because they call it carnal workings in the inner chambers, and inner chambers was a real thing. Like you said, it's like the women's quarters of the Edo Castle,
Yeah.
and it's pretty much the section, as quoted, women connecting to like the shogun.
Mm-hmm.
And especially what their job is it's like it's the red lights district, so they're
Yeah, for royalty.
royalty. Yeah. So we follow the girl Asa. She is with this group of other women she meets, Kame, Utiyama, Kitagawa. All Kame is like the brand, like she is straight from the countryside, and
Yeah.
Asa is like the aspiring writer, where she wants to be a writer.
Yes.
um I loved
And I
it.
think their
I love.
village burnt down, right, or something.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I loved it because again, visually it's like some of the best you're gonna see direction wise.
Yeah.
I think they do such a great job of harkening back to the show's like way of foreshadowing and doing character arcs, but also like the way everything just sort of intertwines into the climax of the medicine seller,
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
doing the big swing. Because there's a lot to talk about, but I do really appreciate that you have the story here pretty much about like the power dynamics and
Mm-hmm.
sort of like this hellscape and the horrors of desperately trying to one up another person for your own survival
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
under the reigns of male, of, like you said, what we talked about before, about male power and men in power, um and you get this sort of ending where it's because they plan it to be a trilogy, but I feel like with this movie you do get this conclusion of the main character Asa. She's finding her place, but now it's gonna be where she is in risk of becoming the power she tried to avoid being, because there's no other choice, because this is the system.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Okay.
become part of the problem.
Yeah.
Where like the lesson is like, in order for the system not to exist, you have to choose to not participate in it, like type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or to make to forge your own path, essentially.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. I'm with you. That's on my own. I'm gonna put that on my honorable mentions because I totally forgot.
Yeah,
That
phenomenal.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. It's a great movie.
And I'm really glad you liked the show. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do. I like it a lot. It's that to me is like, if I had to tell someone what Japanese storytelling is culturally, it's that.
Mm-hmm.
It's that show. It's it's a combination of both, like, so because like when a lot of people talk about it nowadays, like what's culturally Japanese storytelling, a lot of people go to anime, like, especially, and they have the idea of like 2010s anime, which it's like there's a whole history to with plays and Rakugo and Kabuki and all that, and that show captures that style super well. That's where I'm like, yeah, this is a very culturally specific show, and it's phenomenal, while taking, as Nick said, modern twists to it, modern aspects of storytelling, especially in the new movie, that work really well and create this like great cohesiveness to this essentially a murder mystery. that they do every time.
Oh.
It's great. But yes, Nick, that was your number 6, right?
Yeah.
All right, Ian, you're number 6.
All right, gentlemen. This may be a surprise.
Okay.
This is my number 6 for this year is the most recent iteration of Nosferatu, directed by Robert Eggers.
Okay, so I was gonna get to I'll just say this real quick.
Mm.
I was gonna get to this. That was another movie I just totally forgot to write because we had done it so close to the new year that I just assumed it was 2025. Even though we watched it in Christmas. Listen, this whole month has been a blur, you guys. Just fucking give me a break. That's that's on my honorable mentions only because it probably would have made it into the top 10.
Yeah.
If only because I don't think enough time has passed. I like giving things a lot of time.
Sure.
To see if, like, how much did it stick with me before I say how much this impacted me. I know I can also be susceptible to recency bias. Everyone is, but so I always try to be aware of that stuff. But Nosferatu is an honorable mention. It's a phenomenal movie. But Ian, that is your number 6.
I put it at number 6, and we talked at length about it, so I'm not necessarily going to really talk too much about it right here. Just to say, my top 5 are very personal and that's Ian's top 5. Yeah. Super subjective. So I put it here. My thought, I think, at the end of it, and this may change. Like, this list could well change if you asked us again in February, but this is the official one. But I put Nosferatu at 6 just because I think it's probably one of the most damn competent adaptations of Dracula ever, if not
I agree with that.
I think that and here's maybe a more controversial take I can share for the listener is Robert Eggers has set himself up with such a good reputation.
Yeah.
I think the only reason it didn't go any higher is because there wasn't necessarily anything about Nosferatu that shocked me. It was like, okay, I knew what Robert Eggers is going to do. You know what I mean? Like, it's not to say that it was predictable in any way. It was, okay, he's going to probably give us a more nuanced contemporary gender view of things. Like,
and he did.
I think The Witch is that with colonial folklore, and the Lighthouse is that with a look at masculinity through a more contemporary view at the past. But Nosferatu essentially is just him saying, yeah, here are the things that I do, and I do them real good. And he does them excellently.
I think Nick put it the best. We talked about in the podcast episode on it. It's his most straightforward film.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's not a bad thing. Not necessarily, but it is like, you're right. You can kind of see what he's going to do.
Yeah.
Got it. But boy, is that ride good, dude, man. Like, that's a good fucking ride of a movie. Like, it's
in fact maybe a platonic ideal of a Dracula movie. Like, all of that I want in it. It's like creepy and sexual and a slow burn, and it's got whole scenes that are shot so desaturated they look like black and white, and
beautiful paintings of like they're beautiful images.
I'll just quickly throw this out because I just recently learned this. He has approval from Disney and Henson. His next project is going to be adapting this Labyrinth. All
right.
So the idea of thematically, it's exactly what I just said. I think that thematically, that's exactly the same idea, but for a younger audience, basically. But
it's gonna take David Bowie's.
David Bowie dong, young lady coming to her adult awakening. I want to. What is the puppets gonna be like, dude? I can't wait to see those puppets.
And then we get to find out, or we get to discuss why, or how I'm one of the weirdos that doesn't like Labyrinth or thinks it's overrated. So that's
okay.
Well, I don't think British people. 1, 2. I don't think there's much beyond the layer of Bowie puppet music.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I know it's your sexual awakening. A lot of movies are about about that.
But don't
Who
you see?
hasn't
It's
had
about
one?
the whimsy of childhood falling. You
Oh
guys.
man, that's another thing
Yeah.
people are going to learn, that like whimsy, I'm not that into.
Oh, okay.
No,
Yeah.
you want
Fair
the
enough.
cold hard facts. Just like how Ian had an awakening with those tigers in pants.
I'll tell you
and those
what,
glitter-
though,
those
Ian.
glitter shorts in Zootopia.
I'll tell you what, Ian.
Yeah.
I will rewatch Labyrinth before that, if that's true. If he's making Labyrinth, because I haven't watched Labyrinth since high school, and I'm willing to acknowledge the idea. Well, the fact that people were like, Labyrinth is the fucking coolest. Everyone's got to love Labyrinth. And I watched. I went, it's fine.
I don't even know that Labyrinth is necessarily my favorite Henson movie.
No.
But
there's better ones.
Muppet Treasure Island.
Muppet Treasure Island's phenomenal. People should watch it.
Yeah,
I think so.
No, I just rewatched The Christmas Carol. That thing is so goddamn impressive. Like,
gorgeous.
It is a gorgeous ass movie. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So that Ghost of Christmas Present puppet is still like one of the craziest puppets I've ever seen in my life.
Beautiful. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
So Nosferatu number 6. That's all I got for you guys. Number 6. There you go.
That's good. It's a phenomenal movie. It might be if it's going the route I'm thinking it's going, which is again going back to the start of this podcast where I said my list can personally change at any moment. If I did say that, maybe I forgot to. But my list can change at any moment. Nosferatu might be gearing up to be my movie of the year. If again, I'm gonna wait a couple months, see how I think about it, because I saw the TV Glow. I didn't even think too much about it after we talked about, or I didn't think it was gonna rank that high, but I kept thinking about the movie.
Yeah,
and definitely. Now it's like that's what's competing for movie of the year for me.
Yeah.
But yes, so we'll get to my number 6, which we did already mention, MVC Collection, and I said my piece on that. Marvel's back, go play it. So, all right, gentlemen, that leaves us to the top 5, which we will get back to after this break.
Okay.
For the audience, it'll be no time at all, but for us, it's going to be a little bit. So let me stop recording.
Okay.
And we're back. We're back refreshed. Ready for our top 5. Let's try to kill this thing.
All right. Part 2.
Compared to a really long part 1. Part 2. Number 5. Nick. Yours. Turn? No.
Yeah. Maybe today.
Recording. Sound.
Art.
Thinking. Yeah, so number 5 was my TV show of the year.
Okay.
And there was a lot, and it was tough because there were kind of like Chris. There was just so much that I had to consider, and I just forgot. So
I know
this
we're experiencing that live for me right now.
So this space could have been for the new season of Smiley Friends. This space could have been for
damn it,
Dungeon Meshi.
Damn it.
This space could be for a few others, like the Monogatari off Monster season.
Yeah, Dandadan came out last year. I forgot about that.
It began. Which the first season ended last year also.
Yeah.
Towards the end.
Although granted, I like Dandadan, it would not have made my top 10.
I agree.
Yeah.
There's one episode I appreciate, but
yeah.
So I think as good as those are, I don't think they're as impactful as Chris and I sitting down and watching X-Men 97.
Yeah, you should have jumped in when I was nice.
Well, no, because you said your thing, so I'm going to say my thing.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because it was your own journey. It was your own journey of watching the original now.
That is true. Yeah.
And then watching that. Where for me, I watched the 95 way back in late high school, early college.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just having that memory, and then now with 97, but I think also the context of like me and my animation school, and I have a teacher who is one of the directors for X-Men 97, Chase Conley.
Wow.
Who we all know for his work with Boondocks, Black Dynamite, everything with Sean Thomas. And him,
I know
him,
when you told me
Shimamura.
you were working with him, I was like, "Fuck, dude, that's awesome!" Or like you were learning, you were taking a class, right?
Yeah. So I don't want to put words in the mouth. It's just like him sharing his experience working on it with Shimamura and with Marvel, and how it's just this dream of what they wanted from it, and how it was kind of like this sort of experience of growing up in that era of X-Men coming out.
Yeah.
And how much the first season is what they wanted to focus on in regards to thematically, where a lot of characters they wanted to satisfy that, while also the new spin being their take on like the first season's themes of 95 going to 97, and
right down to Professor X and Magneto running around that rock, running away from a dinosaur.
Yep.
Because that doesn't. Because they should have brought that back.
Yeah, they should have brought back "You're in My Mind."
You're in my mind. I know, no good. That's the only thing about X-Men 97. No good scream from. He does have a very emotional moment, and it's really good and well deserved. But no, just yelling. Just I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, no, I agree. Like it's not as bombastic. It's not as Saturday morning. But no, I loved X-Men 97. Same with Chris. Like the stories of it, the impactfulness, and just escalation of everything is just so well executed. To a point with Chris, same with like when we watched Pluto 2 years ago, where I was like, yeah, there hasn't been any other shows since then, especially animated, that have such provoking and sincere like writing, where you have, instead of we talked about what Fully Coolly highlighted was this desperation to appear cool,
Cool,
and it reflects in animation decades later. And it felt like to have these mature storytelling in animation, where it's now like X-Men 97, Pluto, they're coming out, and we're just seeing more appreciation for a style of writing in which characters are pretty much, the more humane thing of like, we're just seeing people trying to survive, and and I felt that a lot with X-Men 97, and having that, and it's crazy being in class too with people that create it and just casually talk about their experience. It's wild. It's such a weird feeling for me, I think, to kind of like be in both a viewer and also someone learning from the people that brought out a lot of this with X-Men 97. So that's why it's my top 5 and my favorite TV show, just for that experience.
Nice.
I don't even disagree, dude. It's phenomenal. Like that show really is as good as people say it is. If not better.
It's the best X-Men thing, honestly, at this point.
Yeah, man, it's really great. The only other piece of animation that I think can compete with it, but I haven't finished it yet, is Scavenger's Reign. And that's another one where it's wholly unique. Like, there's no piece of television right now like it. But I haven't watched all of it, so I'm not going to give my verdict just yet. But that's good shit. That's really good. Beautiful. Especially if you like biology. Oh my god, there's so many things for you in there. But nice, Nick. Yeah, no, that's a really beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
All right. So Ian, what is your number 5?
Okay.
Yeah, so let's remember there's 4 things better than that on Nick's list. So let's
So my number 5 is going to be a brief, just a personal thing, an anecdote from my year. It's fairly recent, but it just happened on the other side of the year.
Okay.
And then I'm going to tie it into a cool theme of stuff we've talked about already in this pod.
Nice.
So I've mentioned before how important I think it is to patron your local businesses, your local small mom and pop shops. Yeah. We talk about that a fair amount. I have my own shop that I think of as my local shop. You know, I'll go there when I get a chance to just shop around for new comics and things. This is the comic book store where I got Grommets on a pull list. I'm going to give everybody the name of that store because I think promoting it is a part of the story. The name of the comic book store is Galaxy of Comics. If you're in Southern California, you can look up where that business is. So I had headed over to a Galaxy of Comics in the midst of everything going on. I'd been in. For those of you, you know, we mentioned earlier the fires happening. I had to go outside at some point. I'd been indoors since Tuesday, and you know, for the people living through the fires, it was just kind of like days on end of stressing, not knowing. You don't know if something bad's about to happen.
Right now.
Yeah, it's not over. It's not over as we record.
It's getting better,
yeah.
but it's not. Yeah, it's not over. It can get worse with the winds.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
Absolutely. And I'll just say this, where the Galaxy of Comics is, there were 5 fires on all sides of it, basically.
Yeah.
You know. So I go into Galaxy of Comics, and it was such a break from that feeling. Like, just first of all, what a gift to you know, see your local comic shop clerks. They know my name. We have a rapport, and just such good conversation about something that isn't the sad thing on your mind. So that alone was just like such a gift for me. The one thing I want to bring out, and I feel comfortable talking about it because this is public information. It's on their webpage. So I was there on the Friday. I had been indoors for about 5 days worrying about the fire, and Galaxy of Comics was a nice little break. I got there. We talked about the new releases, about Grommet, about a few comics that I may or may not like, and that's a great thing about a mom and pop shop. They get to know you, and they can start kind of catering their suggestions to you. So I ended up walking out of there with a bunch of Spirit and Savage Dragon. Great stuff. Nice. I wanted to also mention it just because the owner has recently passed away really abruptly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So you know, we talked for a while. The clerk running the place, she let me know, yeah, I mean, we're kind of up in the air right now. We don't know who's going to be captain of the ship. We don't know what's necessarily going to happen and all this. So I say that Brian Posehn and a few of the actual writers who live here in the area have graciously, like, they're doing signings. They sign their issues as a way of trying to bring some more bodies in the shop.
Yeah.
So I know that Remender, Posehn, I'm trying to think of who wrote Sex Criminals, but there's
fuck, that's on my list too. Give me a second. I'll look it up for you. Keep going.
But it's a handful of regular customers going in and kind of doing their bit to spend a little extra in this uncertain time. And all of that to say, like, I think on a small scale, we should be doing that going into 2025. Like, I want to not only be supporting my local community, I want to get out there and be like someone who makes appearances regularly, gets to know folks and that kind of stuff. And I feel like the aftermath of the fire and losing that guy, the guy who owned the shop, was a mensch. He was a great guy. He was really nice, and he was really good about, you know, recommending me stuff. Very welcoming when I was new to this part of LA.
Nice.
Yeah, God bless Galaxy of Comics. They've been running like as a staple of the community for about 2 decades now. And if you're listening to this and you're in the area, go give them your business. They're a great business there. And I guess, yeah, just generally the end of this anecdote is I'm even more convinced we need to be, you know, reaching out not only to support local businesses, but just like know the people around you, man. Like, I think that's going to be what I do this year. I want to do more of that.
Yeah, get to know your neighbors. No,
yeah, man.
it's a big part of community outreach.
Yep.
I try not. I mean, people know kind of where I stand on things, so I won't say like where I affiliate for politically. But one of the big things for radical like movements is get to know your neighbors, man. Get to know your community.
Yeah.
We're all different. We all got our own strengths, weaknesses. We all got our own worries. We all got our own things. But we know how to support each other. Usually, humans do. And if there's anything anyone can agree on, is that the rent is too damn high. So
it's so goddamn
it's so fucking high. And by the way, the creators of Sex Criminals is Matt Fraction and Chip Zdarsky. So
yes.
So I'll probably be asking you, Ian, for some to pick me up some stuff.
Oh, absolutely, man.
You're gonna be my guy out there.
All right. Absolutely.
There's actually, for real, there's a series that I've gotten into that I want, like, as those issues come out, I want them. So,
okay, gotcha.
Individuals. Gotcha. I won't get into it now, but yeah. All right.
Yeah, man.
So that was your number 5.
That was my 5, guys.
So it is my turn. Number 5 for me is a life experience, and that was Evo 2024.
Nice.
Is my number 5.
Dude,
yeah,
what a fucking year, dude!
It was
Holy
great.
Shit.
Okay, so right off the bat, I'll say not without its problems. It's its first year away from the Mandalay Bay, the home we were used to, and came back. It's actually funny. It came back to the Las Vegas Convention Center with a bigger hall, and it's huge. It's way bigger than it used to be, which is crazy. It was already big. And funny enough, our first year at Evo was actually at the last year they did the Vegas Convention Center, and now they're back.
Okay.
And there's little issues to fix there, with a little bit of spacing and all that, especially with Finals Day, which was, I know for a lot of people, they couldn't get into the Finals Arena because there was way less seating, whereas the Mandalay Bay, they did the big stadium. But it did save on cost. It's a catch-22. However, as I mentioned before, we tried Marvel's Capcom Collection right as soon as we got. It was so much fun. We go with my buddy Edwin all the time because we're all fighting game fans. It's an annual tradition of ours. It's like me and Nick don't really go to conventions anymore. We kind of we don't get as much out of them as we did when we were younger. But Evo is always a party, man. It's always it's the most intense party we do every year. Yeah. And it's exhausting. It's great. We meet old friends. We go hang out in Vegas. And we're not even big Vegas guys, but we fucking love Evo. Didn't get to compete this year because it was very last minute when we got to go. Which is fine either way. I would have gotten my ass kicked because I don't get to play as much anymore. Finals day, that's the day, man. It's the day for Evo. Well, even before that, the night before, they did Third Strike top 8 this year, which if there's any top 8 this year, man, you got to check out from Evo. Check out Third Strike. It was phenomenal to watch live. We were all there. We were there for the memes. We were there for oh my god, I'm forgetting the player's name. The Hugo player doing the splits and just being an awesome just presence on stage, just doing crazy theatrics and kicking ass. It was amazing.
Seeing Evo Moment 38 was sick.
Yeah, people are calling Evo Moment 38. And seeing that live, dude, and that's all our minds exploding at the same exact time because we all know how this game works. Like, oh, dude, it was phenomenal. And then Finals Day, we didn't spend it in the stadium area instead. And in fact, you can see us in some of the videos they recorded for this. We were hanging out watching the people at Yo Video Games and Maximilian Dude streaming the finals on stage, and it was fucking amazing. It was so great. We've been huge fans since the KI day, since KI 2013 is when we were really watching him, or at least when I was really watching him. It was just cool to watch. That dude is a celebrity in the fighting game community for sure, as well as probably one of the most important people in the community. This is phenomenal. It's a great thing we do every year. I can't wait to go again. Nick, do you have anything to add? Because you were there at Evo too.
Yeah, well, I'll just say first off, where Evo 2024 is on the top 5.
Okay.
Okay.
It's Evo 2024 as a live event.
Yeah.
Is number 2 for me.
Wow. Okay.
Oh wow.
Okay. You're gonna be
Nice.
so mad when my number 2 is, but yeah.
Hilarious.
But go off. What about Evo this year?
Please.
I think in the long run, I kind of really appreciated what Evo is for us.
Mm-hmm.
And on an individual level, kind of like with Ian in regards to just having a place that kind of just has a break from everything happening in life.
Yeah.
And just a place to just have a good time with. It was crazy because like my whole journey to Evo was a little journey. Like I didn't know if I was gonna make it both physically and
yeah. Nick showed up very last minute. We thought he was gonna miss this year, and then he drove out. Yeah, man.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like I guess to make it short, I was at a really bad workplace and I knew I was gonna get screwed over. So I thought, well,
fuck it.
At the very least, yeah, I said, at the very least, let me just do this one thing for myself.
Yeah.
Because I know in the long run, that kind of stuff lasts longer than anything work wise. So I just did it. I just went, and then like every freeway was shut down. Like nearly every freeway entrance was shut down, and literally drove by myself for like a 4-hour trip.
Yeah,
to Vegas.
way longer than should have been.
Yeah, like 4.5. And the feeling of being there, despite everything that happened, because like before that, my I guess my card, like one of my bank accounts got caught for fraud, so I had to cancel that.
Mm-hmm.
So like if I ran out of gas, there's nothing I can do. And there's that. Then finally getting there, I don't know. It was like the most relief I felt in a while, just being there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was I mean just on that alone, the experience of being at Evo was just with Chris and friends and seeing everything. It was just like, I don't know. There was just some relief to it all. Like,
yeah,
I don't know how to describe it, and it was totally worth it in the long run. And I think kind of like with Ian with things, like it just a thing that taught me. I guess where Ian's talking about like be more involved in the community. I think for me, for Evo, it taught me the importance of I guess just investing more into the things I enjoy, and because that's I think the best way I can put it is like the best thing because the best thing you can do is invest in yourself. Anything else is a gamble, and I think
I agree with that.
And it's just like, and that's kind of like what I learned from Evo, and being there at the end with Chris, and like I said, Yo Video Game stream was fantastic. Like every time you're with them,
you can see us. Like I said, you can see us like in the right hand side for that.
Yeah, the arcade there was incredible. Like the largest I've ever seen of just crazy stuff.
I think they said it was the biggest one they did.
Yeah,
it felt like it.
Yeah,
fucking felt like it. It was crazy, and that one's open like even later than most of the events. Like,
yeah, and then being able to finally get new fight sticks for Chris and I was sick.
Yeah, that was a real nice gift. That was Nick's gift to me for it was like a birthday thing or late birthday gift.
Yeah.
No, it's real nice. 5.6. I appreciate that.
The Kwamba Obsidian too.
I know. Good shit. Good shit. I've been using it. It's good stuff. But to your point about investing into the community, yeah, no, because I started going to beat ups locally now too. Just because I'm like, I miss doing that in college. Like, I miss going to talking to people, playing games, getting my ass kicked, but also like learning. And like, the only way I get good is like actually talking to people and all that.
Yeah.
So you're right. No, you're invest in your community that you believe in. Invest in the things you like.
Yeah.
Or that you want to see grow. Right?
Yeah.
100%. 1,000%. No, glad you enjoyed it, man.
Yeah, that was my 2.
That was your 2. That's my 5. I can't wait to tell you guys what my.
Okay.
All right, but Nick, you get to go again. What's your number 4?
My number 4.
Yeah.
Is a reluctant number 4.
Oh. Okay.
It is one I feel like that's been beaten into me.
Oh.
And it's one thing. And, it's a thing of like, it's one of the best things, and you can't. And it's one of like your favorite experiences with something, and you can't just deny it. Like you try your hardest.
Okay. Yeah.
But my number 4, which is the game of the year for me. Chris.
What?
Yes.
How well have you organized your jokers? It's Balatro.
You're addicted to that crack cocaine like I am, dude.
Oh
my god!
I got it on my phone, and now.
Yeah, Nick, you took the dangerous route, man. You're like, if I'm doing crack with Balatro, you're injecting it into your eyeballs with the phone. Like, it's so dangerous. What you?
Yeah, and like Balatro.
Yeah.
When I was playing it, it's the same with Vampire Survivor, but I think like specifically more than Vampire Survivor, like I've always been into card stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
I know it's kind of weird to say because like I always sucked at like card like games like Yu-Gi-Oh, like Magic, all those stuff. But when it comes to like actual cards, I do enjoy them.
Yeah.
And then Balatro came around, and
it's perfect.
I talked to Chris, and it's right. It's perfect. I told him I haven't felt this way with a game mechanically since Tetris, since the first time I did a Tetris.
Oh, dude, that's big. Yeah, that's a big compliment.
What he's doing is really special. I'll put it at that.
Local Thunk, Local Thunk's a real cool dude. Did you see recently his tweet with the Peggy board, which Peggy, for those that don't know, are the guys who do the ratings in Europe. So like, what's it gonna be for like teenagers, adults, kids? They gave it like the equivalent to NC-17, adults only, because they thought it promoted gambling, and it there's no gambling in that that fucking thing. It's just a card game, where you get a big point. There's no transactions. And Local Thunk tweeted out, "Oh, maybe I should just make this about football, like other games, and then that way I can get an E for everyone, and and put actual gambling mechanics in there, because FIFA 100% does.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They just implemented gambling mechanics into FIFA. Oh, dude, Local Thunk's a fucking hero. He didn't even show up to the Game Awards. He was like, nah, and then he gave a speech to the representative. The publisher said he just wanted to promote other games that had come out that he really liked that year.
Okay.
That dude's he's fucking cool. Like,
he's as real as him and Vampire Survivor. They're as real as it gets. In the industry.
They're fucking real. Like,
they're putting out there, man.
They're so inspirational. So guess what, Nick? Guess where Balatro is for me as my game of the year. Number 2.
Okay.
Whoa.
Balatro's number 2. It's better than Evo. It's better.
You would rather
they go up here.
Nick, your fucking full house.
Yeah.
Nick, listen, I got an addiction this year. And,
shut the fuck up.
And there's another one on here that I'm going to talk about, and it's going to involve Balatro. Evo was... Listen, man. Listen. Evo only happens once a year. Balatro's all the time, baby. That's what I go to at night. Balatro's so fucking good. It's crazy. It's
You're right.
It's Nick. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. This game is like, it's it's beautiful in its simplicity and its like game design.
You're
It's as someone who wrote a game um with friends, and we're working on the publisher with to make sure it's released. I can't tell you how impressive it is. Like it's one of those things, lightning in a bottle. It's simple and it's perfect. It's addictive, but there's no predatory monetary stuff. It's just it is what it is, and you get good at it and you learn, and it's really tough at first, but then you learn not just that, but how a deck works, like a deck of cards works mechanically, what a straight actually means, and like weird positions, how to get full houses, how to cheat, and then you get to cheat the system. And oh my god, dude. And that song, there's only one song in the game, and yet it's perfect. You never get sick of it. It's the perfect atmospheric music. It's just enough variety but mellowness, and it keeps going. It's perfect for what it is. And I just tried it out on a whim because I heard people said it was really good. Balatro is my second favorite thing of the year. I had to do some real. I haven't stopped playing. I'm still playing it. Still like fucking. There's so much to do. It's a nigh perfect game. Like it really is.
All right. I mean, you're right. You're right with everything.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing with Balatro. Yes, I had life experiences, but you know what was happening in the background of those life experiences in the downtime while I was having those and like just hanging out? I was playing Balatro.
Oh.
Because I just had that on my Switch. I was just taking it everywhere.
Oh.
Right. Balatro, it's one of those, dude. I think like I don't know if people are gonna call it a game of the decade, but I think if you looked at it from a game design, it's like gonna be, or it should be.
Yeah,
it's one of those, dude, and it's kind of punk rock because it's that simple and great. It's had this huge cultural thing, and it's not this quadruple A multi-billion-dollar game that like churns and spits people out because all the managers and producers are fucking pieces of shit that like don't know how to treat workers. No, man, it was one dude with a good idea and like great design choices and just everything come together.
You can feel like an industry deny that can find its own success.
Yeah. There's this undercurrent. I'm with you. There's this undercurrent of anger, like from big.
They're mad.
Yeah, from big companies that this is doing so goddamn well when they're investing so much money in shit that flops. There was a ton of like. I know this is more of a positive episode, but there was a lot of shitty things that came out from games this year.
Games, yeah, it was BS. Yeah. Like it was insane.
It was a really bad year. And this is like, this is the thing. I think
just like Tetris.
Anyone who wants to work in games, this is I think what we should be looking at. Like, Balatro, perfect. What a perfect simple gem. You know, like, goddamn, dude, haven't stopped playing it. It's phenomenal. Absolutely. It's phenomenal. It's crack cocaine. It's addictive. Like, it's so crazy.
And I played a lot this year that was really good.
Yeah,
like they like Animal Well. I thought Animal Well was gonna be on here. I thought Dredge. I thought Marvel's Capcom would be higher, but no.
I also thought Marvel vs. Capcom would be higher.
No, because Balatro really just shows you, and it highlights what Tetris also started, is if you have that perfect mechanic, that satisfying thing.
All you need, baby.
That's all you need.
Games distilled. It really is. It really is games distilled.
100%.
Oh, Balatro. Fuck, dude. Yeah.
All right, that's my 4.
That's your number 4. That was my number 2. Everyone go play Balatro. It's cheap, and it will be one of the best purchases you've ever made.
I think the 2 and 4, us being switched, just shows our priorities.
Yeah, man.
You prioritize your addiction.
That's right.
I prioritize
If I like it, it must be good.
Life and shit. No.
Ian,
Unity.
what's your number 4?
Yeah, what's your 4? Go for it.
Yeah, man.
My
Talking
4,
about fires and stuff and like small businesses.
my
My
number
card game.
4. What if my number 4 was another sad story about fire? No, my number 4.
I hurt my hand.
My number 4 is the new Netflix series that released last month.
Okay.
It's an adaptation of Gabriel Garcia Marquez's 1967 novel, 100 Years of Solitude.
Oh, dude. Okay. So the only reason I haven't watched it, because I know as a writer it's heresy, but it's also heresy to say this. I haven't read it yet.
Dude.
Yeah. I know. I gotta read it. It's just
I'm
one of those
surprised.
things you write. You have to read it. You know.
I'm surprised I've read it before you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I should just bite the bullet and do it. I still haven't read Brothers Karamazov. I just know a lot about it. But I haven't read the thing,
also a
like,
fun one.
Yeah, I haven't read it cover to cover.
Right. So what do I want to say about this? I'll say, so for anybody who doesn't know the general premise, it's a exploration of seven generations of the Buendia family.
Yeah.
It's maybe the most famous magic realism novel of them, of any. And well, I mean, there's a good reason for it. It's one of the best ones in the genre. It's probably one of the strongest entries. This miniseries so far is 8 episodes that covers the first half of the novel. There's going to be another 8 that'll come out imminently for the last half of the novel. It's all shot in Colombia. The production crew, I'll just mention really quick. The production is done by the same people who did Roma.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh man, dude, it probably looks good then.
It looks phenomenal.
Okay,
it looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
The show kind of flaunts the sets in the sense that so Macondo as a location was just built. They built a village in Colombia. And so there's long, beautiful tracking shots in individual people's homes. There's long, beautiful tracking shots where we go from one house down the street, around the corner, into someone else's house. It feels very lived in. It feels very real. And it's a story that covers so many things thematically, but like family, generational trauma, the history of the West in general. There's a lot of the promise of going farther west until we find our freedoms. The idea of discovery and what's possible to know and what we need to accept as mysterious or unknowable at the time, things like that. It's a beautiful show. It's a really, really well done show. I'm honestly kind of blown away at how accurate this adaptation is. There's stuff in it that I was like, well, they're going to change that, surely. They're not going to put that on screen. And they did. They didn't change it. So I don't know if this is the kind of thing you're interested in. I kind of love the juxtaposition of going from the very real, the very grounded, the very painfully human, and like throwing invisibility ink on a man and then he just disappears and he's not in the movie anymore. Like, I don't know. It's that kind of a story. I love that about it. Like it's the kind of story that inspires envy in me, because it's just so like, I watch it and I'm like, I want to do that. I'd love to be able to do that. The leads are played by Diego Vasquez and Marilea Soto, and they're acting a storm, guys. They're really great performances. And I guess the one last thing I'll say about this is, like, these actors, like, I think the performances are amazing. There's like different people playing people at different ages, because it's it's ostensibly taking you through a century of history or multiple centuries of history. The kind of vulnerability that some of these actors are demonstrating in performing these roles are like, dang, I'm impressed. I think some of these people definitely have got big awards coming up.
Nice.
But yeah, if you guys get a chance, 100 Years of Solitude, I love that story, and it's a great adaptation. Yeah.
Will do. Yeah, once I read the book, it's on the list.
Yes.
Sweet. And that was your number 4, right?
That was my number 4.
My number 4 is kind of a cheat.
Okay.
I couldn't decide. So I'm just gonna say going to concerts this year was my number 4.
Okay. Yeah.
And there's a lot. There's a lot I went to. I'll list them all later. But first I want to talk about the 4 real quick that I think are worth mentioning. One was a gift from Nick. It was a Christmas gift that he gave me, and it took like 8 months in advance. And that was to go see a Monomarth, Obituary, Cannibal Corpse, and Frozen Soul at the Honda Center. It was probably the biggest show I've been to since maybe Gorillaz when they played in Pico Rivera, the big G Fest.
Yeah.
Frozen Soul is a death metal band that they had released an album last year that was one of, if not my top metal album for that year. Phenomenal death metal guys. They're famous for, if you know the memes, throwing Magic the Gathering packs into the crowd, and while people are moshing, people will have matches in the crowd. Cannibal Corpse I finally got to see, get that off my bucket list. I'd never seen them, and like as many metal shows I had gone to. I got booted in the face by some dude crowd surfing. It was awesome. Glasses flew. Some dude found. Yeah, it was like a cartoon. Just perfect fly. It was the perfect angle to send a flying, and the guy like in the corner not away from us, because I thought that shit's gone forever. Some dude found him. Whose glasses are these? I'm like, yeah, those are mine. I was like so happy. Obituary just had that stank face on the entire time. Just
another bucket list.
Another one where I heard their live shows are really good, and they're just good ass death metal, man. Just you need that anger out. Amon Amarth, the reason Amon Amarth's been a big presence in my life since early high school. I used to play their songs all the time with guitar. I still do. They kind of taught me learning those songs taught me a lot about like just rhythm, keeping rhythms, changing stuff up, skipping strings. They're a huge influence on me. I love those guys. They got me to explore like Norse mythology, which is why I'm such a nerd about that stuff now. And it was just great. They're one of the best live acts in like for my money. Like they're so great. It always reminds me of this going to see them that show, because that show was fucking nuts. They play for an hour and a half. There's pyrotechnics, giant. They'll use inflatables to do like giant statues or like Leviathan, and then they have people dressed up in full armor, Norse armor, or like their version of Loki or Thor, just fighting on stage during songs.
Nice.
They're phenomenal. I love them on Amarth. They're one of my favorite bands of all time. Definitely one of my favorite live acts of all time. Second show I want to mention is one from my buddy Rick, who gave me tickets on. He couldn't make it that show, and he said, "Hey, I know you really appreciate this show. Go check it out." And I went, "All right." So that was the hardcore show for Auditory Anguish, World Peace, Entry, Dead Bodies, Zabalba, and Nails, and it was just a great night of hardcore. My first like foray into kind of what that community is, because I'm so used to like death metal, black metal guys, thrash metal. So seeing the community aspect was really great. Standouts for me, Entry, which was kind of hardcore punk, so it's very up my alley, very classic style, and like just fast, great. Dead Body kicks ass. I see why my buddy really likes them. That's a great live act. They played on AEW not that long after.
Hell yeah.
For Wrestler's Entry, and that was fucking cool. Crazy. Zabalba, man, I had learned about them recently, like a year or two ago. But they've been doing it since they've been going at it since the 90s. And they're from was it Pico Rivera or Pomona? But so they're local, but you watch them live and you're like, yeah, man, that's experience. Those are
Yeah.
guys who have been going at it. They know how to work a goddamn show, and they were great. They were fantastic. And I got to see Nails, who was the band that I really knew and was looking forward to because that latest album was sick.
Nice.
More of a death metal combination, hardcore. Fantastic all the way through. Oh my god, they were so good live. They're real, like they're headliners for a reason. They're a powerhouse for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Great thing about that show is that Max Cavalera of Sepultura showed up just out of nowhere. Yeah.
Nice.
Also guest star. This will be for like the hardcore base. The singer and guitarist for Big Ass Truck were there. And played with the openers, and they were actually it was really good. It was really good. Max Cavalera shows up just out of nowhere, and him and Nails cover Territory live, and I had never seen Sepultura or like him play live. Oh, it was so good, man. It was like one off the bucket list. We're all singing the song because we all know the lyrics.
Yeah.
And it was great. Sepultura is one of my favorite bands of all time. And then, yeah, man, that was another show. The other show I want to talk about is Lightning Bolt, Machine Girl, and Kill Altars in San Diego. Lightning Bolt had been on my list for a long time. They're one of, if not my favorite noise group, next to like Melt Banana. Kill Altars, who I hadn't seen, was great. And then Machine Girl, who I'd been wanting to see for a long time, I forgot to bring it up, but their latest album is an honorable mention as well, MG Ultra, and they're phenomenal live. Their new live act is fantastic. That's talk about energy. Like they're walking through the crowd, singing, doing all this stuff, and it's fast, crazy stuff. And he does a walk through the crowd like as the last thing too. And just crawls away from it's awesome. And then Lightning Bolt, like again, was on my bucket list, and just God, I want to see them play like an hour long set, like an hour and a half long set. I just want to be in that noise because they consider themselves a jam band, and it feels like it when you watch them live.
Mm-hmm.
Last one that I really want to talk about was seeing Gost and Street Cleaner in San Diego.
Yeah.
That felt like coming home. Like it was synthwave shows kind of went away once COVID hit, and they haven't really been back like they were beforehand, where it was like $10, $15 you go see Gost, Street Cleaner. I've seen Perturbator, Dan Terminus, Carbon Breath for cheap, like back in the day. Facehugger, Dance with the Dead, Protector 101, McCready, just anyone I'm forgetting. Seeing all them live for cheap and like local, then we get to know the crowd, we know people, we go see friends, we become friends now, and like just talking to people and all that kind of went away once COVID hit. Going to this show really felt like one of those shows again. Nice. We went there, it was $20, it was cheap, we drove all the way to San Diego. Street Cleaner is my favorite one-man live act of all time. Just fucking killed it, dude. And he was tossing free shit into the crowd. He was tossing his video game just out for free. But to me, I was the only person. He personally handed me a vinyl that I didn't have, and I was so fucking. Oh my god, dude, that made my year. It's one of my favorite moments. And then Gost is another just amazing live act, just going nuts. Mm-hmm. We had a great time. It was one of my favorite shows, and it was the smallest by far of all the shows we saw this year. Mm-hmm. Other mentions I won't go into. We saw Master of Menti Dregs. We saw Melt Banana. We saw Night Tempo. Those are all great. But I love going to shows. They're like, I love music, but two, I love just the escape. It's like, it feels like, again, you're part of a community. It's great.
Yeah.
All right, that's my number 4. So, number 3, we're in it. Yeah. These are our top 3. Nick, what is your third favorite thing of 2024?
It's a comic book.
It's a comic book.
Yeah, and it is what actually you both mentioned it way back earlier in this podcast as an honorable mention.
Oh,
okay. Yeah.
It's acting class.
Take the floor, dude.
So, because I was the one, it was like my thing. It was
Yeah.
like something I recommended to you guys because I knew it was something it is something special. Like,
I agree.
so I've read Nick Dornanzo's stuff since 2016. Like since Beverly Lily was released, from Chicago Times to publishing Drawn and Quarterly. Who prior to that had people I was also a fan of that were cartoonists around the U.S. like Adrian Tomine, and with Killian Dine. And I was like, again, the kind of like Chris, like you see this horror of the mundanity done so well, and you see this really interesting perspective on what it means to be a family member, but also see someone young developing their mental illness, developing something in their life that affects those around them. And acting class really did feel like the culmination of like everything you've seen of his work previously with Sabrina. I would argue Sabrina is like his darkest one. And then Beverly, just the way he does like ensemble cast and everything. I think acting class was like this thing where I was reading, kind of like with Ian, where I was starting to get jealous, and I was kind of reading it, being like, I want to do that. Like I want
It's really good.
do a story like that, where it's like it's such a crazy ensemble cast experience. Because like, yeah, because acting class was, I think what stood out to me the most was just how much art was in it, like how different, and vibrant everything was. Compared to his other stuff, and how specific all the characters were and what they represent in like this class. And yeah, it was just something I read it, and I read a lot this year, like so much stuff, but acting class stood with me the most because we shared before our thoughts on it, but for me it was just this thing of like it kind of cemented me having like Nick Donanzo as like a goal for like art and writing. And it's one of those things like I'm looking at it and I'm like, I want to see something like that in motion. So that's what I'm trying to do. So so acting class is just this incredible thing, and like there's so much I could say about it. But I will say I think what always stuck with me over the year was like talking about the ending, and then sort of like thinking about its bigger implication of what what the teacher's doing essentially with these people. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. Acting class, like, yeah. my favorite book of the year, because I was gonna put Mysteries on here. I was really close.
Oh yeah,
by Bill Watterson and James Kuntz.
I haven't
And
read it yet.
yeah, I think that's the main reason, because like I want it to be a separate thing also for us to talk about. At least
we
I'll
could.
try.
It's short. Yeah, no, that would be an easy one.
Yeah. It is, and I try to say it ironically in a minimal stance, because it is a minimal piece of storytelling. But the Mysteries is pretty much, I think, what we want mythology to be in our lives.
Okay.
Like how we, and it does such a. And I think the Mysteries is like kind of like stripped down what it means to be influenced and choosing your own, like, essentially your life choices through the stories you're given, because like most information is stories. It's just you being grabbed in by a story. I mean, that's why the biggest things on all our social platforms is stories, like from now until the AI kills us. But yeah, like acting class, I think just told me about what story I want to pursue, and I think that's just why that's why it's my favorite comic. But I think Nick Donanzo is, like, to me, sort of this goal, I think, as an artist, because Yeah, no, there's nothing else like it, and I'm trying to do that. So
Mm.
yeah, fighting class.
No, it's totally understandable. It's phenomenal. It's a phenomenal book. And he's like quickly become one of my favorite comic book artists too. Like or comic book writers.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that whole episode out there if y'all want to hear our full thoughts, but it's really worth it. So go check that out. All right.
Yeah.
So then Nick, that was your number 3 of 2024. Ian,
Mm.
what is your third favorite thing of 2024?
Get ready for even more narrowcasting.
Yeah.
My third favorite pick is a film that premiered March of this year.
Okay.
I mentioned it briefly when it came out, but I'll talk just kind of the highlights. It's called The Problemista.
Okay. Don't know this.
So this film was written and directed by Julio Torres in his debut.
It's the guy from Los Spookies.
It's the Los Spookies cat. Yeah. So yeah, the setup is a toy maker from El Salvador comes to New York to get a job with Hasbro, and all of his toy ideas are comedically strange and terrible, like a toy truck for boys, but the tires perceptibly get flatter every day, and you can never refill them because you can never recapture the glory of youth. Or a Barbie doll with her fingers crossed. I don't know. It's a story about a young man who comes to New York to pursue his artistic dream. This also, I would say, falls into the realm of magical realism. The story very much feels like a mythologized telling of somebody's immigration story. There's a fear of, well, and also the way deportation is in the movie is shown in the movie is people literally just fade away before your eyes and then vanish to never be seen again.
Damn.
The story also has Tilda Swinton as a deranged artist that Julio Torres has to appease so that he needs to keep an American who's going to basically support him through his immigration process. And so he's picked the most temperamental woman in New York City to keep employment with, essentially. It's a great story about finding your voice and feeling confident, kind of taking up space. I would say, like the kind of I hesitate to say moral, but like the takeaway that this story has is there actually are a handful of there are times in your life where maybe the right thing to do is to make a stink. Maybe you should kick up a fuss and insist that you get what you ought to get. The Tilda Swinton playing Elizabeth the painter is the kind of woman who turns every situation into that. And so and the movie does it with comedic effect. That Julio's character eventually learns to turn that on when he finds out that Mattel took some of his toy ideas and just started making them. But there's lots of interesting things from that perspective. I really like his writing style. I was gonna not mention this because it's easy to get some of his projects confused with one another in the sense that the look and voice is so consistent. But there's like prolonged scenes where Craigslist is a embodied deity online that offers you capriciously money for terrible jobs. I don't know. It's a really fun movie. I think you can watch it on Amazon now. It's available. It made me laugh, but more than that, like the artistry of this movie is so specific and fun, and the voice. It's just the voice is so good. I recommend it. Yeah.
Right on. All right.
Yeah.
No, that's for sure on the list now. All right. My number 2, or no, number 3, is what we got out of it.
Oh, hey.
Nah, it's not. It's actually Shadow of the Erdtree, Elden Ring DLC.
Okay.
Third best thing this year. that came out.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? What do you?
No, I mean, I thought we did a pretty good job, but
Yeah, you did.
that's cool.
It's just number 3. No, listen. I consider to me it's still going. It's not over. We're still doing this thing.
True.
I'm not gonna say it's the thing of 2024.
Okay.
Nick's out of it though. He's here. Oh no, he's got the headphones on. Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree is my 3rd favorite thing this year. It almost made number 2, except that was Balatro, as I first stated. I had to do some real soul searching for that. Listen, man, everyone kind of knows already how much I love Souls games, and especially Elden Ring. And I couldn't believe there was going to be more with the DLC, and then they released it, and it's so much like. There's so much more content than I thought there was going to be, as well as it's not as big as Elden Ring, but it's tighter. It's like got a lot more cool things. They're expanding on ideas, the enemy placements, the enemy designs, and just fights are phenomenal. The combat still remains great. As well as like just how they tie up the story, like it's the most finished I think any of their stories has ever been, and they handle everything. Like I can't think of a loose end really that's out there. And the boss fight's phenomenal. I streamed the entire thing. This time you can watch me do it. The environment's great. It's one of those things, and I kind of get the sentiment that people are saying were like, if they want to replay this but not Elden Ring. And I kind of get that because it's a very much like it's Elden Ring, but a way more refined. And it's a tighter experience. But you kind of have to go through a lot of the main game in order to get there. And it has its own leveling system, which helps, but like you still have to get there pretty well leveled and have high level weapons. So there are issues, but I don't know. My experience playing it, you can watch the entire thing was just. It's so great. I love the exploration. I love finding things. I loved facing the weapons. It took me... Oh my god, do I still have the death count for how many times I fought the final boss, Radahn?
Was it like 180?
It's like... No. I think it's 118. But let me...
Okay.
We're gonna find it. It's by far the hardest boss they've ever designed. 107. Okay.
That's a lot. That's many.
Wait. Let's make sure. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's 89.
Oh, okay.
107 is the grand total for the DLC. 89 deaths. Still less than Maximilian, dude. But no, it was the most. It took like 3 days to do it. It's by bar none the toughest fight FromSoft has ever designed, to the point where they nerfed it, and I right after it, like I completed it, and I went, yeah, that's right. It was the first time I wasn't mad about it. I was like, they probably should. They need to calm down on some of the things. I think it's the absolute limit to what the system they designed can do, like, or can ask of players. But boy, when I beat Radahn, that surge of adrenaline, that surge of joy, it reminded me all over again why I play these games. It was that I had to do. You can see it on the stream. I got up. I like immediately started like just fucking and then I paused the stream, or I went into intermission, and I went to go do a walk because I had so much adrenaline. I was like, I can't sit down. I can't sit down right now. I gotta go do something. Shadow of the Erdtree is my third favorite thing of 2024. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It's fantastic. All right. So, our number 2, Nick. What is your second favorite thing of 2024?
Well, I mentioned it was Evo, so we
Yes.
talked that.
Got
We
it.
did.
Any? Well, no, we both gave our pieces, but number 2 is Evo,
Yeah.
and it was a very great experience. I love doing it every year. Can't wait for the next one. That's always what it. We're just gotta wait for the next one, and it'll be great.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, Ian. What is your second favorite thing of 2024?
My second favorite thing is my number one TV show of 2024.
Wow, better than the comic book shop.
Yeah, better than actual human connection, definitely.
No, I know that's always the funny thing with these lists, right?
I mean, yeah. Listen, I said the top 5 were, I mean, the most close to the bone. Yeah. So my number 2 is the other TV show that Julio made after Los Spookies was canceled, Fantasmas, which is
it's on my list.
a bilingual comedy set in New York. I mean, a lot of the things I have to say about Fantasmas apply to my number 3 on the list. The voice is so goddamn specific. I'll just throw out some of the jokes that got me and some of the names, because it's a star-studded cast. It's many famous people are in the show. Not least of which Bernardo Velasco, who played the lead in Los Spookies. He was Ronaldo. We also have Emma Stone, Bowen Yang, Anna Farbriga, Paul Dano, Steve Buscemi.
Paul Dano. That's crazy.
Z-Way, Adie Bryant, John Early, Kim Petras, Tilda Swinton, Tommy Doferman, Dylan O'Brien, Amy Sedaris, Natasha Lyonne, Rachel Dratch, Cole Escuela, who played Mary Todd Lincoln on stage for a while, Rosie Perez, who else is in it? There's a lot of really famous people in this show.
It's a lot.
It's ostensibly like I would pitch the show as way more sketch like. There's a lot more kind of fantastical breakaway things, and some of them are just like outlandish ideas that wouldn't work as a sketch for a show like Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to watch an 8-minute sketch where Steve Buscemi plays the embodiment of the letter Q as a musician who is just doing stuff too experimental. The audience doesn't get it. Q is not very popular.
Yeah.
But the letter E, very popular, very accessible, but kind of predictable. I don't know. It's got a lot of bits in it that I think are just really, really. The laughs that I got out of this show, even more so than anything else, were so zeroed in on me that it felt absurd.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like Bowen Yang has a reoccurring bit in the series as an elf who's suing Santa for wrongful termination.
Sick.
And implies that he has a hostile work environment. Adie Bryant is a woman working through her childhood abuse by selling dresses for toilets.
That's pretty
good. Tilda Swinton is the voice of water, just the concept of water. There's a very funny recurring bit where Dylan O'Brien plays like a good-looking leading man actor who is wrestling with the purpose of his career. Like, that's a reoccurring theme, I will say. Like, here's a deeper reading on Fantasmas is artists looking at themselves and saying, okay, why am I doing this? Am I doing anything constructive with my art? Am I just doing this because I can't do anything else? And
which is
Dylan
usually
O'Brien
yes, but like,
should be
people aren't ready for that conversation.
Dylan O'Brien plays this great actor who feels like his days as a leading man were wasted and that he should be using his celebrity to do projects that uplift people. And ostensibly this really comedic version of a conversation he has with his agent, who explains, you know that if you do that, like, you're not going to be rich anymore. You can't be rich and change the system that troubles people.
Yes.
It's a great show. It's really worth watching. That's my number 2 of 10.
Nice. All right.
Oh, yeah.
And as I mentioned earlier, number 2 is Balatro, best game of the year. That's right. I liked it more than everything else. I gave my whole speech on it. Balatro is the second best thing of 2024 to me.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We're all at ones now?
We're at number 1. It's been a long journey. It has.
Yes.
But this is it. We're here. We're here. Our start to the new year.
Mm-hmm.
Our ending. Our halfway to, well, we'll get to it. But our end to reminiscing.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, what was your number 1 thing of 2024? I have a gut feeling what it is, but I want to hear it first, and then we'll decide from there.
Do you want to say it at the same time?
Okay. It's going to be so funny if it's not. All right, I'm ready. All right, on go?
Go, yeah.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Visiting Seattle.
Seattle. Yeah, it's Seattle.
Wow, okay.
So let's do Ian's first then, since both of ours are at same.
Ian.
Okay.
What was your number 1?
My number 1 is the new book on writing and memoir that Daniel Handler published this year. It's called And Then What Else? And it's an exploration of kind of the writing process, but also Mr. Handler talking about his career. So it's an amazing book. It kind of covers his meteoric rise when the Series of Unfortunate Events came out. It talks about his own writing process and kind of comparing it to other people. But I just want to kind of thread it back to what Nick said earlier, actually, because something you were saying about the book Mysteries, I think, really hit me. I wrote this quote down when Daniel is talking about exactly the question I posed a moment ago. Why are we doing this? What's the point of this? Is it just because this is all I know how to do?
Yeah.
He says, stories are not true, but they rhyme with the truth. They call up the truth the way that a gentler term does with its uglier synonym. The explicit and the euphemistic end up sounding exactly like one another. And that's in a segment where he describes going to a middle school to give a talk about writing and the process, where he was thinking about the concept of the euphemism, and that the fiction is a way for us to like digest in many ways. Like the story helps us process and contextualize the reality, which does not conform to fiction. It does not offer us resolution. Oh, sorry, hold on.
That's all good.
All right. I mean, I think that it's one of the great texts that I've seen in a while. It's so it's honestly so honest. That's what I think is most impressive to me, is the kind of vulnerability that Daniel has in this book. And there's a lot of things that he talks about in his personal life that you suddenly think, oh, that explains a lot. That checks out. Okay, totally. One of the main ones I guess I'll tease is that for a long time he just had a very hard time delineating between fact and fiction. He in his mid-20s got like a seizure disorder.
Oh, okay.
This form of epilepsy, and the epilepsy brought on audio and visual hallucinations that just really never totally went away.
Yeah.
And then he describes some of this experientially in detail, and you just think, oh, that's where he's pulling this idea from. Okay, sure.
Mm.
Yeah.
And this continuous tension between the constructed reality that makes sense and reality, the actual reality that is unsatisfying and doesn't totally give you answers.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful meditation on the value of art. I highly recommend. And then what else? Definitely a must for, I would say, for people in art at all. It's a great read. Yeah.
Nice. All right.
Oh wow.
Definitely
Yeah, if you
gonna
guys
put
get a
that on the list.
chance,
Mhm.
it'd be cool if like, you guys send your top 10
Oh
list.
yeah, no, we're all gonna send it to
Yes,
each other
please.
because I got to list this stuff anyway
Yeah,
in the edit and everything.
definitely.
So we're gonna have each other's top tens. Don't worry.
All right, cool.
All right. So,
All right.
me and Nick have the same number one. I thought it would be like this. Nick, because we never mention it. Nick's my brother, and we went to Seattle. It's one of the why Seattle. It's one of the cities I've been thinking about just visiting. I have a whole list of them that I've never, because I don't get to travel much. Travel takes a lot of time. It takes money, and I'm always like trying to support both myself and like help out family and all that. So I don't get to travel. But this year for my birthday, Nick and I we rode the rails. We took the train all the way up from SoCal, from LA to Seattle. It took almost 2 days, right? Or was it more? Yeah, okay. Almost 2 days. It's a long ride, but like the view was fucking killer. It was we both got coach. It was really cheap. I think we only paid $89 each, like round trip. And when you're in SoCal, the train, and for a lot of California actually, you're on the water. Like you're on the water, you're really close to you're on the cliffs, just right following that ocean, almost all the way up until you get closer to Washington, then or past like San Francisco. You fall asleep, and then when you wake up, because we went like early spring, late winter, we woke up to just the most amount of snow either of us had ever seen in our entire lives.
Wow.
It looked fake. Like it looked like you're on that train at Disneyland and like kind of what people set up, right? To look good. It was amazing. We saw frozen lake. There was frozen lakes, snow. We were on the second tier of this train. Snow banks that reached to the bottom of our windows.
Jeez.
Just cliffs, trees, forests, waterfalls. Climbing a mountain and then coming down, and like there's tunnels as you ride down this mountain through it, and finally landing in Seattle the next night. And that train ride alone is like one of the biggest highlights of my year. Nick, anything to add about the train ride before I continue about Seattle?
No, I mean you're totally right with that.
Yeah.
Like, I have plenty. I know, like I sort of foreshadowed, like I have a story that even Chris doesn't know about the trip to Seattle. In regards to the train ride.
Yeah.
No, it's when it's when we're leaving. It's when we come back.
Oh, okay.
But I'll save that for after. I'll say that until when we get there, because it's a long story.
Okay, so we arrived.
But, what I was gonna say about the train to there.
Yeah.
That I do agree. Like, both of the interviewers, like, it is tough to describe just how incredible and breathtaking everything was. Like, we really did go through like the border state, like going from the border into the national forest during the blizzard. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, it was incredible. Once in a lifetime for sure. And yeah, no, it was definitely a case of like finally, like, it is kind of nice to just go on your own like that. And it was also a case of same with Evo for me, like getting away from all the woes and stress of work and life and what have you.
Mm.
But I think it was also kind of cementing that we can do this on our own. Like it's something we can take
Mhm.
care of and things like that.
Yeah.
And just seeing all the things I always thought about. Like I always thought about seeing Pacific Northwest, and this was probably like the best way and most unique to us to go about it. And yeah, like Chris said, like I remember like when you sleep in Oakland and you wake up on the border and see the mountains, see Mount Rainier, see the frozen like snow everywhere. It's we had all this media to distract us that we planned for, but it all just kind of went out the window, literally, like out the window.
That's beautiful.
And because there's nothing else like it, there's nothing else to it. Like you can't, I don't know, I don't know how to describe it. Like it's beyond words, really. That experience.
Yeah, no, all you need is some good music, and like you'll be entertained. Just looking at nature. So we arrived to Seattle. We're not there for too long. We hit the sites. We go to the aquarium, which they were doing the Animal Crossing event, and we got to experience. I like Animal Crossing. What can you say? And it was great. It was cool seeing seals and sea otters there. All the way they handle stuff, because I used to work at the aquarium at the Long Beach as a teenager. I used to volunteer there, so seeing how they handle stuff was really cool. For people who don't know, I love marine biology. That was like the thing I was studying before deciding on I want to be on like the writing career. A choice that some still question to this day, including me. So we'll see. But we went there. We checked out the Space Needle. It's cool, very tall. And we went on a really good day. It was apparently very clear. Food was good. We found like good Thai places. There was a pizza place that was awesome. Um, there was the only place around us that was open till midnight. Everything else closed really early, which kind of sucked. We went to shoutouts to Citizens being our go-to like breakfast and late night spot too. Or is it called?
Awesome.
It's called Citizens, right? Or am
The pizza?
No. The collective, the place where it was started by the employees. Citizens. That place is cool. That place is really rad to hang out. Good hang. What else? Space Tower. Just walking around Seattle, the marketplace, and just all these beautiful sights. Shout outs to my buddy Henry. I don't know if he listens, who was there at the time. I hadn't seen him since college. Seemed to be doing really great. Exciting stuff was happening in his life. Grabbed drinks, caught up, talked to him. Really happy for the dude. Shout outs to also Katie and Gabe for showing us around. Seattle, that one afternoon. They're very busy schedules.
Yeah, no, they're amazing.
Yeah, they were amazing. They're amazing people. Writer friends of ours. Tell it to the universe, I believe, is the name of the book or the poetry book that Katie just released. That is Katie Prince. So please go check out her book. Her poems are phenomenal. They're amazing. Yeah. Tell this to the universe. My bad. Check them out. And Gabe and them just showing us the cool bookstore that was there. I found horror books. I hadn't been able to find copies. I could only buy one because like I had to carry shit. And we did the Starbucks Reserve. Tried out some of their coffee or cold brew, and we had a shit ton of gift cards because people just give us gift cards and we make our own coffee.
Great.
And you can use it on everything there. So we bought we didn't spend a dime. While there, that wasn't a gift card.
Yeah, before we go any further, I did want to kind of highlight the bookstore we kind of like went to.
Yeah, go for it.
Game because I was able to get a copy. Because that was cool about it is that they also have collections of like per year collection of short stories. So they had stuff from like Hugo Award winners. They had stuff from like like per year, like 2023
Mhm.
Hugo Award winners, fucking Pulitzer Prize collections and everything. And one of the things I really liked was that they had stuff for like speculative fiction. So I was able to pick up Nordic Visions,
Nice.
the best of speculative fiction, and it's all collections, and it's all like separated by country in the Netherlands, and
Yeah.
it's just all collections of different types of short stories in regards to the subgenres of sci-fi
Mhm.
and fantasy. And it's really cool. I really enjoy it. So definitely try to get more stuff from that at Elliott Bay Books.
Elliott
Check
Bay,
'em out.
yeah, that was the name of the bookstore. Really great
Mhm.
bookstore.
Yeah.
We got to try. We went to the Choluli Glass House, which was this dude who
Oh,
made a bunch
great.
of glass stuff, and it was fantastic. It's high. It's like people at the top of their game making glass art. It's very.
Yeah.
If you're into art, like it's cool to see people who are really good at stuff. So you want to go do your own thing.
Yeah.
Shout out to man, I wish I remember his name, the bartender there, who was
Oh
just
yeah,
letting us try
that was
rum
dope. That
because
was
no
really
one
cool.
drank rum and he needed tasting notes, and we were like, "Yo, man, let me help you out." And
Yeah,
then
it was
gave
good.
us
It
some
was
real
like all
busted rum, and
Haitian
there was some
rums,
good shit.
funky plantains. Like
Funky Haitian rum that was really good. Yeah, and then sadly we couldn't be there that long. So we took the train back. And that was a little bit of a rougher ride. We had two unexplained stops that added like 6 hour delay or something. To the point where I got reimbursed for the whole thing. So that was crazy.
yeah.
Um
So I do have a story in regards to one of those stops.
okay, go for it.
So uh I believe it was the longest one, where it's the
Yeah.
second one that happened.
Yeah.
And we were just stuck essentially, and um, yeah, so we were there for a bit, and at some point I was like, I gotta use the restroom. I gotta go. Let me real quick.
Mhm.
While we're hanging out at the observation cart, and so I go down to use the restroom, and um, it was like, oh my god. It wasn't busy, but you can't really tell there's not a lot of people down there. So I went into
Yeah.
one of the stalls for the restrooms. It was the big one because they have like the big one for handicap,
Yeah.
smaller one. Smalls were occupied, so I had to take the big one. And I was in there, and then there was like I forgot why there was a jolt, but there was like a jolt at some point of movement.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was sitting down on the toilet, and the jolt happened, and I almost fell forward.
Oh my god.
Oh.
It's like
But I caught
Furiosa.
myself. I know I caught myself with the railing, and I had my phone out. And as I got my I didn't fall. I'm trying to stand up. The door swings open because
Oh.
I guess even though I turned it and it said occupied, the
Yeah.
actual lock didn't
Oh, the
go
lock was
through.
shit. Okay.
Lock was shit. So the
Oh
sign said
no.
occupied, but the
Yeah.
bolt didn't actually turn and open. And it was an old guy.
Oh great.
And I'm standing there pantsless with my phone out.
Wow.
And he looks up and down and he does like quick, whoa man, sorry.
Yeah.
And I realized what I look like, and I just ran upstairs. I washed my hands and ran upstairs because like
dude, that
I never told
sucks.
Chris this because again, yeah, like it was so much at once. I didn't know I didn't even know, like I was worried like he would be on that cart. If like
Right.
Oh yeah, that's the real worry. Because like, what's his stop? Is he right? Is he going to LA too, or like?
what if he's in our cart? What if
Yeah,
he
what if
just
he's
sees
in our
me?
car? Yeah.
That's the dude jerking it on the train.
Yeah. That's fucking hilarious. That's
Dude.
well, my train ride was fine. Uneventful. It was really long. We're complaining. That's super funny. It's super fucking funny.
I never told that story until
until recording and people are gonna.
So that's why it's my number one.
That's why. Hey man, that's pretty good.
Hey,
that's a life experience.
Just Just hold on the rail the entire time while you go.
Yeah,
Plane or train.
that dude yanking it while you're thinking you're yanking it. Well, dude, that sucks.
And he was right. No, I'm just kidding. No,
That's right.
it's just like it jolted, and yeah, I was
Yeah,
fine.
I will say, hey, you know what? I will say this: train bathroom is fine for like the first day. Anything else, it gets real fucking gross.
Yeah,
That's the only thing that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
I
need
agree.
more. They need better bathrooms. All right. Is that we did it?
I think we did.
And
We
on
did.
that note,
Did it? I can't wait to travel more. Is all I'll say.
Mhm.
We did it, gentlemen.
All right.
2024 is in the bags.
That was a lot.
What's up?
That was a lot.
That
That
was
was
a
a
lot.
dose.
That was a lot. That was very much. But we're done. We're good. There is one more
Okay.
episode this month.
Yeah.
And while this has been happy, and we've been reminiscing about the good times of 2024, looking at the good, what we liked, just having a good feels. It's time to crash it all down next episode, where we take each piece of media, each story that we looked at for what we got out of it in 2024, and we rank everything in a very cutthroat
Mhm.
ranking of 2024.
All right.
We will start at the bottom and we will work our way to the top of what is the best thing of 2024 we looked at.
Okay.
Definitively.
Okay.
That'll be next episode. So thank you all for joining us, and hey, Happy New Year. Here's to a new one, huh?
How about it? Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Oh my god, I keep doing this. Okay. Bye.
Bye.